What's going on, dude?
Yo.
Hello. I think I
Yeah.
bumped you up as loud as I can make you on my end. Is there any
What's going on,
possibility you can be louder?
dude?
Hello.
I can
I think I
get close to
bumped
that.
you up as loud as I can make you on my end. Is there any
What's going on? Is that okay?
possibility you can be? Hopefully. Chat, let me know if Icepower's not loud enough. We can have him shout for 3 hours
Yes, I
straight.
can speak loudly.
Yes. Yes, ruin your vocal cords. All right. Normally I do some sort of introduction. So, hi everyone. This is a brand new person that definitely none of you know. We have Ice Power Total War. Woo! Oh shit! I fucked up the thumbnail. Quick.
Everyone assumes the TW, stands for Total War. You know, nobody asked. Nobody asked.
What is? What does it
Everyone
stand
assumed.
for?
Oh, it's fine. You don't need to know
Uh oh.
that.
How are you doing? The only Dark Elf player that anybody thinks of.
I'm not sure that's true, but yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
I'm trying to think because Dark Elf's been in a spot for so long that I distinctly remember when I started playing online. I sent you a message saying you're the only person who makes Dark Elves look any good, and that was like what, a year and a half ago, and it's still kind of true. Like they're starting to get a little bit of play now with Beastmen, but
Yeah, I know there's a lot of ODM guys who are starting to make them, you know,
Pretty meta in certain matchups, like Carl Harmon with his weird builds, which is fun. Like I've sort of had my own meta for a while, and it tends to get copied a lot. And I'm glad that folks like Carl Harmon and Chosen One to an extent, and like Razel sort of a little bit. I see them play Dark Elves occasionally. Yeah, I'm glad that they're doing some new things for the faction. It's fun.
yeah, they are fun. I've been picking them up recently too, and I mean, you pick them up because you have to choose Beastmen, but once you play with the roster, you're kind of like, oh, this could be fun. You experiment a little bit more, and you find out some of their units aren't that bad. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. Like both the sister type units, the Witch Elves and Sisters of Slaughter, can be really fun, especially in a bare naked lady rush.
Yeah, I mean there are some builds like Dark Elf Mirror, for example. You can just come in with like 8 or 9 Naked Lady units, and it's very difficult for a Dark Elf player to actually deal with that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty neat.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The first question I
Yes.
ask everybody every time: what are the best and worst 3 matchups for Dark Elf?
Oof. Right. Some of these may be controversial. We'll do worst first because that's an easier question. It is probably without a doubt Bretonia, Wood Elves, and Greenskins.
Okay.
I think anything outside of that is actually fairly playable at the very least, if not even Dark Elf favored. Especially with the meta now moving sort of away from the 20 stack range spam and more towards sort of single entity play with a lot of support. I know we were in Discord the other day actually. Maybe it was you. I can't remember. Someone was saying that to me, and I was saying actually that is actually quite helpful for Dark Elves, because we have a lot of like low HP stuff, so it's nice, but still in the end it's like Bretonia, Greenskins, Wood Elves, definitely worth matchups.
I do have a question on the Bretonia one because everyone
Yes.
agrees that that's a bad matchup, but it's such a well-known bad matchup that I honestly never see it. What makes that one bad?
Right. So it's mostly just the fact that Bretonia will sort of outperform you in every subset of the game. So you can't really skirmish them that well because they have peasant mobs, and peasant mobs are one of the best screening tools in the entire game. Right? They cost 100 gold, and they still have mass. They still have combat stats. Right? They're still annoying. And that means you automatically can't be using fire at will, which is a big problem already. For Squadron of Chariots specifically, your cavalry is going to be outclassed. Like Cold One Dread Knights perform terribly against questing knights, and even Knights of the Realm will do fairly well against Cold One Knights. They only have 90 armor, so. And then there's the whole archery thing. Like you've got to pay for dark shards, and if you're shooting peasant bowmen with them, pay 650 for them. They pay 400 for archers with more range, probably more DPS. You're in a bad spot. Yes, you get access to elite halberds, but again, like low HP, no healing, no shields on your elite infantry. You're just gonna get shot to death and drained to death, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it.
Are you saying that the lord you're most likely to interact with has a Mortis engine, a bound Comet of Cassandora, and Dwellers Below?
Yeah, it's almost like that combination is problematic. But the thing is even before Fae became like this super hardcore meta, I remember playing this matchup in, I think, my second faction war against random Nicks. And like that was in a meta when Luen was like the best Bretonnian lord. And you can take Luen against Dark Elves and it's still really, really strong. Even without Fae, like it's really tough for Dark Elves. I mean, there are some cheese strats, like you can go like triple Blackguard with 4 Witch Elves and a bunch of spears. Just walk forward and hope you rampage the cav, but and then there's the fact that they have flying paladins, right? And the potential for Pegasus Knights. So even if your Squadron of play is excellent, you're just gonna be like you'll get caught, which is a big problem. There are some Hydra builds as well, where you try and soak up the arrow fire.
Now you're speaking my language. Fuck yeah, Hydras.
Yeah, I mean, actually, there is like a Deathblow build with Foot Morathi, Double K-Knight Assassin. You still never take Footmasters because they're just not as good as Assassins, which is really funny to me. Like a couple Blackguard, Witch Elves, and like 2 Hydras. But the problem with that is that, firstly, you're giving up mobility against Tonia. So their peasants are all just going to keep coming back, which is a problem. And also, if your opponent just shoots the Witch Elves, you're just going to get cycle charged to death.
Yeah.
So it's just not a fun matchup. There are some instances where you just take a balanced build, and if you really outplay your opponent in every way, you've still got a shot.
God, that sounds like Skaven Wood Elves. It's just like, man, if I just outplay the shit out of them, I can win. And it's like, that doesn't make it a good matchup.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, these like balanced builds are probably like Morathi Double Manticore, obviously. Like 8 Chaff, couple Dark Shards with shields, and like Cold One Knights. And just try your best to get really good cavalry engagements without taking much arrow fire. And yeah, it's just tough. It's really tough.
Sounds like it. What about the good matchups?
Good matchups. It's weird. They're sort of like Dark Elves are sort of like an elven empire. That's the way I see them. That's why my second main is Empire. I just feel like their best matchup. I mean, people always used to say like Chaos or Dwarves. I don't think either of those are actually true. I think Dwarves is actually 50-50 now because of Thorak.
There's a question about that later, and I couldn't agree more. I've been losing it recently, and it's tough.
The more I play it, the more I think it's actually really tough. And I look for good matchups. I think Norska is good. I think that now the Dark Elf meta has basically settled on between 3 and 5 single entities with Squadron Chariots and Dark Riders. I think versus Norska should be quite a breeze. I think High Elves is a good matchup.
Really?
But it's still tough. It's still tough. Like they can do a lot of things, like a lot of archer spam or with nets, or like some Spirit Leech Kite, it can be a problem. But mostly against High Elves, its Squadron Chariots are just going to be MVPs there. Other good match. Oh, Count, of course. Count. Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about Count. Count's being best matchup.
Have you interacted with Tank's... Well, I don't know if Tank invented it. He's just the first one I fought with it, but his Vargeist build?
I mean, I actually lost against, ironically enough, Void and King of the Hill like a couple weeks, maybe like 3 months ago or something. In this matchup, but the thing is, I like blundered both assassins at the start, so
yeah,
it's not necessarily a fair test. And also, like, there are 2 major Dark Elf builds here. There's like the the Blackguard box, and then there's also like a Flying Squad.
Yes, those are the only 2 builds, and no one will mention my degeneracy that can beat the Vargeists.
Oh, well, what's that? Teach me.
Morathi, I think a Master for Guardian and for the AoE buffs, Chill of Sontar, Bloodrack Shrine, and oh shit, there's one more debuff in there. Oh, it's just 1 Assassin for Assassin's Trophy and for Web of Shadows. And it's like,
right, all
your infantry gets picked off, and in the end it's just 5 single entities running around, and anything that tries to touch them gets 0 melee attack and just dies.
That's
really
like funny.
It's definitely cheese, but it beats the Vargeist thing, and I'm like, oh, I guess this is just my main build now. This was a joke until I saw the Vargeist build, and now it's the only build I can reliably take.
I mean, ironically enough, if those builds didn't exist, Dark Elves could probably still take some sort of like, double or triple shade and protect, that kind of thing. I mean, that's always an option for Dark Elves. But you can always, if you're unsure how to play a matchup, you can always just take some Dark Shards off, or repeat crossbows, and protect them and shoot anything of value. That's why Falcon, for example, he was telling me the other day that when he starts off with the Dark Elf build, he immediately takes 3 repeater crossbows, and then decides what else to take in the build after that. Like, he doesn't even take chaff. That's just his starting position. I am not a fan as much, but it's cool that playstyles exist, right?
That's true. Yeah. I'm trying to learn Shades, but every time I know it's practice makes perfect, but every time I pick Shades, like, they are the worst unit in the game for that thing with like, oh, we fired 20 minutes ago, so we're still reloading, and I'm like, dodge, you fucking idiots, and they're just like, nah, can't do it, reloading.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I get so tilted.
You say Shades are worse for that, but Dark Shots are even worse. Well, actually, I feel like Dark Shots have like a 12-second reload time. Shades have like a 9. I think. Yeah, it's 9 seconds for Shades and 12.6. Yeah, for Dark Shots. So
Paul.
Yeah,
good to see you. Agony Achilles in the chat asks, how do you get into the mindset of playing a best of 3, 5, or 7? Do you have a ritual?
I play some piano. That's it.
Smart.
Yeah. Play some Bach. That's it.
Culture.
Chills me out.
Continuing on, matchups, you actually touched on this at the start of the interview a little bit. What are your thoughts on the Dark Elf Mirror, Pugnabone?
Dark Elf Mirror, I actually think it's one of the more fun mirrors. There's a lot of mirrors where you just spam like the most cost-effective units, like Norsca Mirror, you spam Skin Wolves, and Greenskin Mirror, you spam Savage Biggins, Dwarf Mirror, you've got like, Thunderers and Longbeards. Although Giant Slayers are pretty fun. Empire, you've got Handgun spam, and like State Troops. Tomb Kings, you shove Great Bows.
Skaven Mirror is just build
handguns. Right.
Sucks so much.
Bretonia, you just spam like all the Grail cav. But Dark Elves, you have a lot of options. You can go, as we said, Naked Lady Rush, you can try some Bolt Thrower builds, you could do full Kite with Squadron Chariots and Dark Riders, because they're always going to have good targets. You can try a Blob, but if you do meet some repeater crossbows, you just instantly lose. So
Yeah,
maybe
that
not
feels risky.
recommended. I actually sort of like Dragon Malekith here. He's fun. Yeah. Also, Malice and Kite builds. Like, before everyone starts laughing at me, just try it out.
Malice
Because-
and Kite.
Yeah, so Morathi and Kite is obviously better, but Malice and Kite is probably where Malice is best because you remove all the mobility of your opponent, which is Dark Elf Kite in a nutshell anyway. You remove all the mobility and then you just shoot them to death. Or cycle charge them. But if you remove the mobility, you completely eliminate the possibility of Malice being kited out in a late game
That's
by,
true.
some light cap, right? So, yeah, just try it, because you'll send him into a blob in a late game and just, blow everything up. And it's fun.
It sounds fun. I'm sure Lotus Moon would approve. No Cade, No Gain asks, what is your favorite, not the best chance of you to win, but your favorite Dark Elf matchup, and why is it Wood Elves versus Dark Elves?
Well, just a secret, it's not Wood Elves versus Dark Elves. That matchup is I don't think it's as bad as Bretonia, but I would much prefer to play Bretonia. play against Bretonia because it's more interactive. You can still take a balanced build and have a chance of winning. Whereas with Wood Elves, you're just being cheesed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad, and it makes me sad. Okay, what actually is my favorite matchup to play? I actually like Tomb Kings. I like
Tomb
Dark Elf
Kings?
Tomb Kings. I find that really fun because it basically goes down to the roots of Warhammer 2 as I remember it, which is instead of just spamming a whole load of stuff, you actually start to take some elite stuff, and it starts to become about who can stop chariots and whose mass play is better, whose cav play is better, whose screening is better. There's also an artillery element. I think Tomb Kings is quite interactive.
I've been
I
practicing.
also like Coast. I also like Dark Elves Coast because there's some really neat builds you can do.
I imagine.
It's a bad matchup, but it's really fun.
I've been actually having a lot of fun practicing Dark Elves Lizardmen with Bob Trash recently. That one feels
Right.
fun.
Yes, until you just get abused by pterodons all the time, and then realize that tic-tac-toe just is the best lord there, and it's not even a joke.
He's very cheap.
Tic-tac-toe or Oxy, either is fine.
Yeah, but then you get to use Cold One Dread Knights and not be a meme.
Exactly. I mean, that is the best matchup for Dread Knights, that's for sure. Definitely.
I honestly didn't realize that when they rampage, they get more melee attack.
Yeah. I mean, I read that on the unit cards somewhere, but I never really pay attention to it.
Yeah. Someone made an offhanded comment to me like, "Oh, you're rampaging. Your stats went up," and I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I would much rather not have those stats and be able to run away right now, but okay.
I mean, they're usually in the routing threshold at that point. Especially if they've taken burst damage, so it's sort of all irrelevant anyway.
Yeah.
Although, actually, if it's not burst damage and it's a kite game, the Dread Knights will often stick around to the last model, which is really cool. I like that.
They have 80 leadership, so yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Here's the question I mentioned earlier. Nevermore and Nameless Order ask, if Dark Elves is favored versus Dwarves, why do I seem to lose it all the time? Do you take
Right.
Sisters, Corsairs, or Shades? That's the question.
So I actually lost this, I think 2 months ago against Grumbrindle in a faction war because I took an old build. I didn't I didn't think Thoric would change much. So I took the old meta, because essentially the way it goes is that dwarves have to shoot dark elves in order to win. Because if you just fight out against executioners, like, you're gonna lose. Or sisters, or even corsairs are quite cost effective. Or dark shards, or chariots, or any of this stuff, right? So I just took like a 20 stack, which is just like a bunch of bleak swords, you know, corsairs, some executioners, dark riders, harpies as anti-gyro play. I think I took Morathi that game. There was another mistake. But the thing is that Thoric, because of his army-wide buff to melee attack, suddenly all of these Dark Elf units start trading like really badly into a lot of Dwarven chaff. And you'll just find yourself running out of chaff, and then there'll just be a lot of like, you know, a couple of Plunderers or Quarrelers or Rangers or whatever it is, just shooting your elite stuff to death, and you just lose. So now you sort of have to approach it in a different way. You need to go back to like an old disruptive style, rather than just a spam of stuff. Yeah, I mean, I actually think this matchup is probably like 50-50, maybe like 55-45 Dark Elf favored. But I still think it's really tough. This is actually, I think, the best matchup for Death Hags. Because, yeah, for 600 gold, you get 3k HP. Which isn't great, but they're fast, they have poison, and they can hunt down Master Engineers. Right?
True.
And also, they perform fairly well against Dawi infantry. They give leadership buffs to the rest of your dudes. For 600 gold, they're not bad. I would really ask you to consider trying them. Low care, I think, is best lord here. If not Malekith, probably.
If you want to do double Death Hag, you definitely want Malekith. Otherwise, you're going no caster.
Yeah, no, of course. Although I actually also lost this matchup more recently against a full Slayer rush with like 5 blasting charges. So I quickly swapped from Manticore summons to Burning Head summons. to Burning Head. Just so I didn't lose to that anymore.
Yeah.
But no, I like, this matchup is no joke. Like, you need to learn it if you want to play it in a tournament. It's not like it used to be where you're like, oh, someone picked dwarves, I'll just take Dark Elves and win. No,
Dwarves are
so
tricksy creatures.
Exactly, yeah.
A real human being asked, all Naked Lady Rush when? What
Dark Elf
matchups
Mirror?
is that good? Dark Elf Mirror?
I'm trying to think of...
It can be good versus Skaven as kind
in
of...
theory, Skaven, if you can shut down globes, but
Yeah.
I don't like leaving myself open to that kind of risk, so I don't.
Yeah, that one's definitely a cheese. Kind of like
Yeah.
coin flip the game.
Because like, if the Skaven player is any good at protecting globes, they just get like 2 or 3 salvos off and just lose. So it's not great. Trying to think other matchups. Not full Naked Lady Rush, but Sisters of Slaughter are good against dwarves. I mean, I say that, but probably not now that Thoric is a thing. Unless you have like such kick-ass micro that you can just move the sisters out of combat when they have when the global buff goes down. Which, yeah, I mean, who's really gonna do that, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing about what Thor
Or is it
changed...
chaos? Or is it chaos? Of course.
Did you see the chat message?
No.
Oh, you mean the Naked Ladies versus Chaos?
Yes.
That's very funny, because the next question's about Chaos, and I was like, is he jumping ahead of me?
Oh, right.
Okay, so how does Naked Ladies work versus Chaos? That's a surprising answer to me.
Well, Hell Cannon's a meta. Sisters of Slaughter do fairly well against all the Chaos Infantry, with the exception of Chosen. because Chosen pay for these amazing combat stats, and they actually start breaking into the Sisters of Slaughter melee defense threshold. So, for once, Sisters won't be fighting things that have a 7% hit chance against them. And yeah, they trade quite badly there. But it's fine. You have other ways to kill Chosen, like Soul Stealer or Dread Knights or Chariots or Via Crossbows, etc.
Gotcha.
And yeah, you still will need some Scourge Runner Chariots because you need to counter skirmish the Marauder Horsemen. But in general, because Hell Cannons are so common here, like you just rush them down with Full Naked Lady. It's great. And what's really great is Crone Hellebron this is probably her best matchup because, you know, she does very well against Sigvald, so.
Yeah, they beat up Forsaken, they beat up Chaos Marauders, they trade pretty even against Chaos Warriors, but they're slowly winning it over time. Alright. Go, Sisters of Slaughter, go.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they'll absolutely annihilate Forsaken. Because Forsaken just have no combat stats at all. They'll never hit them.
Yeah. Alright, double chaos question. So Kairos Fateweaver in the YouTube chat and Nameless Order in the beforehand. Dark Elves versus Chaos matchup. Mostly I see kiting and probably that's the best option. Is there a way to have a kiting build that is safe against Hell Cannons? Or how do you approach that matchup?
Kite against Hell Cannons actually isn't so bad. You've just got to be very, very careful about when you present your repeater crossbows for being shot. Because you will need them to kill heavy infantry in a late game. You can't just have Squadron of Chariots run down infantry. But generally the way that matchup goes is I'm just going to send my Squadron of Chariots to shoot your Marauder Horsemen, or your Chaos Spawn, or your Trolls, whatever your mass is. I don't care so much if you shoot me back with the Hell Cannon, because they don't double hit the Chariots, because of the way the projectile works. It's not so bad. However, if you bring your repeater crossbows out too early to just get shot by a Hell Cannon, you might just lose. Because you'll lose models, and you do need that damage in the late game. So you just got to be careful if you're going full kite.
Do you do 4 Scourge Runners, 2 repeaters, or?
I've been running 3 and 3 there, but 4 and 2 is fine. The reason I was doing 3 and 3 is because, believe it or not, repeater crossbows are actually better against infantry, which is pretty funny. Although that was before the cav beta, because what would happen is your Scourge Runners would just get countercharged and you'd lose. I'll have to do some more testing more recently, with the cav beta, so maybe Scourge Runner Chariots are better here against infantry now, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 4 and 2, 3 and 3. I wouldn't recommend 4 and 2 the other way, repeater crossbows, because like you need model removal on the Marauder Horseman.
Yeah.
And the good thing about Scourge Runners is they kill models when you shot. That's actually why they're so good. Yeah.
Are kite builds with no infantry competitive these days? That's from Tediment.
Depends on the matchup, of course. Dark Elf Mirror, yes. Greenskins, yes. Chaos, yes. Counts, yes. Wizardmen, yes. Probably, maybe. Playing with fire a bit there, but yeah, yes, probably.
That was a confident answer. Also, Butt Naked Sigvald is beating Rakarth. I just want everybody to know that.
Sigvald beats Rakarth. I mean, of course.
Butt Naked Sigvald. No buffs. And I have a Manticore and all my abilities.
Oh wait, it's Manticore. Well, yeah. Also makes sense.
I can't tell if this is a Sigvald thing or a Karth thing. Probably both.
Yeah, it's probably about that, isn't it?
Oh, God. That's the saddest thing I've seen all day. Alright. Let's move on to Lords. Where's the Morathi one? Everybody asks about Morathi. There it is. When do you not take Morathi? Artisan Tech Priest, Hammond, Tatamut, and Nameless Order.
Okay, she's never a bad choice, but she's not always the best choice. So, I'd say Wood Elves, probably Coast, probably Lizardmen, depending on what kind of build you're going for.
Mm-hmm. So what?
Sometimes High Elves.
Rather than each matchup, what's a situation where, because going into game 3, people need to think about this too. What situations do you not want Morathi?
These like grindier matchups where she may just like be too much of an investment, because if she just ends up in a late game dying in chaff, like she's really bad. Because she still costs like 2,300, and you don't necessarily get a lot for that in combat potential, and against factions that naturally don't blob. Which, funnily enough, actually is dwarves in this matchup, because they'll be quite spread. But I mean, you can make her work anywhere. But generally, she'll be taken out by, in the Lord slot, by either Lokir, a Fire Sorceress, or some kind of Malekith. Either Foot Malekith, Cauldron Malekith, occasionally Dragon Malekith, you can still make work. But without a doubt, she is still the best Lord on the roster. It's not even close.
No. And now, I know you hate this style of question, because I've talked to you about it in other chats, and you have a philosophy on it, but I'm going to ask you it anyway. If CA came to you, and they were like, listen, Icepower, buddy, friend, we're going to nerf Morathi. We're gonna. But, we're going to give you whatever buffs you want to every other Lord. What do you want? And that's from Hammond. So Morathi's coming down, but what are you doing to every other Lord to make them Morathi 2.0?
Well, firstly, you remove the degeneration from Malice.
Okay.
Just completely remove it. Or you make his like demon form like more powerful. Like maybe you make his Demon's Curse and sorry, not Demon's Curse. The abilities he has inside his transformation, like constant effect, but then make his demon form like a toggle, right? So that you can turn it on and off. I know that's not necessarily lore accurate, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just want him to be good because he's really cool and I relate to him a lot. Low care I actually think is fine. Maybe you just give him a stat boost, or maybe give him regen out of combat, or maybe some more armor piercing, or like he's good against dwarves, but that's really about it. Because if you, I mean, just compare low care to Sigvald, for example. That's just a really sad comparison, and it makes me happy. Rakarth, I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do to fix Rakarth. Holy, like he's just in a state. Like you could up Beast Slayer to like plus 100% damage instead of 25%, and then just make him like this sniper bot. That could be really a bit like Carl Franz, right?
Yeah.
That could be really fun. Like I really like these sort of activatable abilities that you've got to be really careful about using or misusing. Like maybe they could up the cooldown, reduce the duration, or do the same thing but with Whiplash, right?
Yeah.
Like I love the idea of getting the micro in to give Whiplash to a Cauldron Dread Knight when it's on the charge, for example, and then suddenly it beats a unit it shouldn't beat because you were quick on the draw, right? I love that idea. I think it's good.
I have a pretty quick fix that could help him a little bit.
Yeah?
Whip of Agony should be able to target a fucking lord or hero. Listen, you could target an enemy if they're large and minus 24 melee defense, which isn't even that broken. It's good, but it's not that broken. But not a lord or hero, so it can't be an important unit.
Yeah.
I'm like, fucking why? I took it versus Zero, and I tried to whip Throg, and it's like, nah, that's a lord. But I can whip the troll right next to him. Just not that troll. That troll is too important.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's my
Yeah.
rant.
I mean, he has some problems. As for Crone, I mean, what can I say about Crone? I love the idea that they have this like glass cannon hyper damage, lord, a bit like Snicked, but at least Snicked has some form of protection for himself, which is that he's stealth. Crone has no protection. Have you ever taken Crone against Wood Elves?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's the saddest thing. I actually played a one build tournament a little while ago. Came up against Loopy, and I had Crone and like a bunch of naked ladies because I was trying to have fun, and it was sad because my lord and caster were both dead to sisters within the first like 2 minutes. I mean, I don't know what you give her. Maybe you give her some like hyper regen in combat. Like we're talking like plus 20 hit points per second in combat, something like that. Because she's like super duper squishy. Maybe you give her a weapon. I mean, I don't know. I sort of like the character that she is. She's like this super high damage, sniper lord. But unfortunately, she just dies, so it doesn't really work. And as for Malekith, I mean, Malekith is actually a good lord. Like, you take him on Cold One or on foot most of the time. I actually really like Malekith. I mean, if you wanted to change him, you could probably just give him a little bit more missile resist on the dragon. I mean, that would do it. He has 25% as it is. But considering, units like Sartorial get to just sort of run around with 50% of magic and missile resist, it's... yeah. I don't know about that. But I think all dragons in general have sort of had their power lessened a lot because of their interaction with infantry now. So I think CH should probably have a look at rebalancing all dragons, not just Dragon Malekith.
Yeah, he's a little spendy, especially his items.
Yeah, you don't ever get the items.
Zero, that question does come up later. Chasing Rainbows, would you take Helibron if she was half the cost? Like, what if she was cheap, kind of like Tic Tac Toe?
Would I take her if she was half the cost? I would take her versus dwarves, definitely.
Yeah.
And also, does that mean half the cost as in her items are also half the cost? Because then it's definitely...
Yeah, probably just a generic half the cost. Because Tic Tac Toe is like super cheap, and he kind of does what Helibron does, but Helibron does it for 2,500 gold.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also, I think they could just give her Manticore armor. Right? Her Manticore has 45 armor. Ricard's Manticore gets armor. And he's still terrible.
Yeah. Ricard's Manticore has armor, and he's... Oh, never mind, but, like, it would be nice.
No, but Exalted Heroes, for example, have armored Manticores, and they're actually, like, a really meta pick, right?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Like, armored Manticores, I think, is a recipe for success. It's just Ricard is so bad in every other regard that he still doesn't work. Which I find to be pretty funny. And I say armored, he's only got 80 armor on the Manticore. Wait, is it 80 or 85? It's something like that, right?
Yeah, he is 80.
Yeah, 80, right? Yeah.
Zero in the chat is pointing out. No, sorry, not Zero. Sorry, Wicked. Wicked's pointing out that Magical Void on Luther is 30% magic resist for 215 gold, and a Hellbronze item is 210 gold for 20.
Yeah, I mean.
But you save 5 gold, Wicked.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that 5 gold.
You're looking at this the wrong way. Alright. No Gain No Gain asked, why is Malice so OP? We kind of talked about Malice when I asked, how would you fix him?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts about Malice you haven't expressed?
No. I mean, I would also hope that his dude gets his, what's it called? Spite. I wish he would just have a bit more speed on Spite. That's really it. He has 68 speed. It's like 2 more than...
It's 1 away from greatness, Ice.
That's true.
They couldn't even commit.
If they actually give Malice +1 speed on Spite in the next patch, that just made me happy. But
it is.
Yeah. I mean, Tyrion gets 92 speed and he's still terrible. Right?
Yeah.
I think it's 92 speed for Tyrion. Something like that.
The Phoenix King's been using Tyrion to pretty good effect recently, but otherwise I haven't seen many people doing it.
Right, sure. I mean,
he's one of those things that, like, if you don't prepare for Tyrion, he can kind of blindside you like a Sigvald on horse. You're like, oh, I don't really have single entity killing pressure, do I? Huh. And he just kind of runs around and 1v1's your lord, but...
Well, I mean, everyone knows how you would fix Tyrion, and that's just, like, give him unbreakable until the heart procs, right?
Yeah.
That's all you would need to do. And then he wouldn't just be a good lord, I think he would be, like, up there competing with Teclis. Maybe not competing with Alariel, but, like, he would be a really solid A-tier lord. But, yeah. Malice, sort of same problem. He never gets his, he just gets kited to death. Very sad.
While we're talking about Malice, Real Human Being asked... Now, this isn't meta, this is meme. Is a Malice build or a Rakarth one-shot build a better meme? Like, you bring it on a King of the Hill stream, and yada yada.
I like the Malice full cold one build. This was my go-to meme. So you bring Malice on his on Spite. You bring like triple Dread Knights. You bring 4 cold on Dread Knights, and then you bring like a cold double caster on cold ones, or like a master on a cold one. And you just bring like loads of cold on. It's really cool. It's like suddenly you're playing Lizardman.
The Velociraptor charge.
Yeah, I mean you can even bring cold on chariots too. It's fun. I like it.
Okay.
And of course you need the ROR dreads.
And then Real Human Being and Cyrus ask, when do you bring Lokir on a dragon or Rakarth on anything? Rakarth on anything is probably never unless you're memeing.
Actually both never.
Both
if you're bringing Lokir, it's because you're bringing him on foot. To be like basically this lord that nobody really wants to spend time killing, but can be annoying in a late game. Sort of like a Walmart Sigvald, right?
Yeah, I gotta say, one thing about CA that pisses me off is paying enough attention to name things like Spite or Maelstrom, but then not making them different at all. Maelstrom has the exact same stats as a Black Dragon, except more melee attack and leadership, and it's just like, come on, man, give him something. Give him
right. I guess they were trying to balance it because he gets regen, which you would think is really strong, and yeah, I mean, but in the end, you compare it to Dragon Malekith, and Dragon Malekith gets healing from Soulstealer. He's also your caster, which means you have to pay for another caster, and also he gets physical resist. And he gets Gaze of Malice, which is a really good ability.
Gaze of Malice is really good.
Like 15% physical resist is no joke. And Soulsteal is just a good spell, especially when the healing is going on something that's a combat lord. So, yeah.
Yeah, 15% physical.
Dragon Loki is just worse than Dragon Malekith, unfortunately. So.
Yeah. Rip. Alright, now Malekith stuff. YouTube chat's popping off about it, so we'll get right into that one. If they fix...
Oh, it's time to flame about the chariot, isn't it?
Yeah, if they fix the chariot bug... This is from Chasing Rainbows, but also Wicked and Zero in chat. So, for anybody who doesn't know, Soul Stealer, when Malekith uses Soul Stealer when he's on his chariot, the healing doesn't hit him, so he doesn't get any healing. If they fix that, would you ever take his chariot?
I might take it against dwarves on occasion, but probably not still.
Yeah. Because his cold one has just better stats.
You take a chariot character versus dwarves, you've got to be prepared to dodge some cannon shot. Because if you don't, like, you don't want to be double hit by cannons. Yeah, it's not fun. You know what's interesting about Malekith in that matchup is you can take him with like Chillwind and Bladewind. And you can use Chillwind to block down the blasting charge, even minus blasting charges, so that Sisters of Slaughter can get into the front line completely unopposed. It takes some like really good timing, and if you screw it up, like your sisters are all dead.
Yeah.
But usually the limitation of sisters in that matchup is they can't be hit by blasting charges, which can be a real pain. So you have to go on flanks, or you have to like try and weave your way through or dodge blasting charges, but yeah, just a fun thing you should try. And actually, I think it's quite competitive.
Hammond in the chat says Rakarth on Chariot when? Never take Rakarth. Especially because Chariots can get double hit, you're just asking for trouble. Alright. There's a question from Chasing Rainbows. Malekith on foot or on Black Dragon when? We kind of talked about it. I don't know if you have any more to say on that.
On foot versus Wood Elves, very specifically against Wood Elves. Again, versus Dwarves, as we said. Dragon, there is like I know Zyphos was using a double Black Dragon build against Bretonnia. And I know that sort of it's like, well, but I thought we just said archers destroy Dark Elves. Well, it's like, yes, but if you play well enough, in theory, you can, dodge or screen. Basically, it gives you a win condition. It gives you a way to snipe Fae, and it gives you good ways to kill cavalry, which is good. Yeah.
I have a question. Why does Gaze of Malice kill all my Sisters of Slaughter if I cast it on them? That's a bug, right? It's supposed to not do any friendly fire, right?
I guess you didn't believe me about the Chillwind thing, so you wanted to test it.
I need to show the stream something rather than constantly sitting in the unit thing.
Right,
so
sure,
I was showing them that Chillwind does in fact knock down the miners, and then I Gaze of Malice to my own
really...
sisters. Oops.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they have no armor, right? And they have low HP. They pay for physical resistance. So
the one. I'm a Chillwind doubter. In this case, I could see its usefulness, yes. But, like, the actual thing I will give Chillwind is it has a fucking fast cast time.
Yes, it's instant.
It's so fast.
Yeah. I mean, that's very useful. I still haven't, like, tested its actual damage potential against, like, certain blobs of units or anything. But I think Chillwind and Bladewind, probably the two spells in this lore of magic you can actually use unironically. At least slightly unironically. But yeah.
I'm currently role-playing this battle as if Malekith is friends with no one on this battlefield. I'm just committed to killing the sisters at this point. Alright.
The other problem with Cold on Malekith, of course, is that he really struggles to hit things in front of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my problem with Chariot Lords in general, is it feels really janky on whether or not they're going to hit something, and I personally got...
Laughs in Grom.
Laughs and Grom, but yeah. I prefer consistency above all else. So Chariots for me are like, oh man, sometimes they'll take the Lord and they'll walk them halfway across the map and push them away from their entire army. Other times they just won't fucking hit at all, and I'm like, not for me. I generally like to know how a scenario is going to play out before I get into it.
Yeah.
I see several references to this, and I am not cultured enough in Icepower lore. Cyrus asks when to take Nilosi, and I ask, who the fuck is Nilosi?
So Nilosi is XMT's name for the Dreadlord Sword and Shield. She's called Nilosi because basically there's a lord in I think it's the Ivan Vortex campaign who has the same model as Nilosi, and she's like right underneath Morathi on the map. Of course, exactly why I would love to be. Yeah. So when to take her? Never really. She's not actually good at anything. But you can take her in some weird double caster builds where you just take nothing that's snipeable. Because usually the question is, if you're taking Foot Nilosi, why are you not taking Foot Malekith? And then the answer is usually, I want to take Law of Fire. Well then it's fine, take Law of Fire, just don't take Soul Stealer. And bring Malekith with no spells. And it's usually a better answer.
Alright, we'll see if she can beat Belagar. Nilosi is the meme, though, because, like, isn't she in... Well, she's in every hype trailer to make the other guy look good.
Yeah, she just dies to everything.
Every release, it's just like, want to watch Dark Elves get killed by Tomb Kings? And everyone's like, ooh, Tomb Kings.
Basically.
Yeah. I did get mad. I almost made a video about it, but then I realized there's a teaser at the very end that pissed me off. But it was the opening credits, if you just sit on the main campaign screen for long enough, and it starts that animation, it's like High Elves versus Dark Elves, then Lizardmen versus Dark Elves. And it's like, man, look at all these cool factions. And I realized Skaven would never show up, and I was like, the fuck? We're not a DLC race. We're a base race. And at the end, we get a rat eating a corpse.
You just get a rat on the title screen.
Yeah, and I'm like, I mean... It's not nothing, so I guess I can't complain, but come on, man.
When I first watched that, I was terrified, man. I just find the whole concept of Skaven actually terrifying.
They're pretty spooky.
Yeah. It's like, I am scared playing Morathi too. Like, it scares me. I mean, I don't know if... have you played Vermintide?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, played the shit out of
it. They should make Gutter Runners the same as in that.
Gunner Runners in Vermintide are the scariest thing.
Leap across half the map.
And if your timing is slightly off, you just get CC'd to death.
Can you imagine, like, engaging some elves, and then you've just got a unit of Gutter Runners, and they all just jump halfway across the map and directly onto some Dragon Princes and just keep stabbing them in the chest? That would be excellent.
That would be excellent. Though knowing CA, they would have, like, the Pegasus charge animations, so they miss most of the time. And it's like,
they miss most of the time in Vermintides.
That's true.
In fact, very often they jump directly into a pool of lava.
I'm going to activate my ultimate strategy versus Belagar. Running away and he can't catch me, so he can't technically win. Enigmas... No. Enigmas in the YouTube chat says, thoughts on Rakarthan to Empire. I've had some success with him as a Franz Volkmar counter along with a Firecaster Fireball / Burning Head. Before you answer this is the last Rakarth question, even if more come up, because we are going to move on and Rakarth sucks.
Right, yeah. I mean, Rakarth does suck. Morathi to Manticore is, I think, best pick there, still. I can see that he's fine for sniping Volkmar, but he won't be fine for sniping Carl. He will lose hard to Carl. Like, it won't even be close. He'll just die.
Yeah.
Firecaster is nice there, but again, if you want a Firecaster, you just take a Coldon Malekith instead. Coldon Malekith actually also good in that matchup, because Like usually horse lords, like expensive horse lords aren't, like combat horse lords aren't that good. But simply because of Gaze of Malice, his like chaff clearing potential actually is decent. He gets surrounded by some Empire halberds in a late game. It's just Gaze of Malice, and that's like 600 value or something.
Yeah.
Gaze of Malice is one of the abilities that keeps him really good. And it only costs 150. So.
Yeah, not to take everything back to Skaven, but that's the thing I know best. The reason Rakarth isn't good is, one, as I showed earlier, fighting Sigvald, he actually lost to Sigvald. But let's ignore that. Let's say he's the best fighter in the whole game, right? Let's just pretend that's real. He's got the same problem as Queek in that, sure, he's really good if their lord runs out in front of their army, says 1v1 me noob, and Queek runs out there and 1v1s them. That's great.
Yeah.
But he's so weak to, like, everything else the Empire has. Like, huntsmen are going to just pew-pew his ass to death.
Yeah. Handguns, outriders, pistoliers.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's so hard to get their lord alone, right?
Yeah.
So that's my thought on that. That's why whenever somebody tells me Queek, and they're like, but man, Queek beats Alarielle if she dives her eagle onto Queek and then sits there and fights him. I'm like, yeah, but when the fuck is that going to happen?
Yeah.
If that happens, I probably won anyway.
At the genesis of the whole Morathi double manticle thing, it was simply about, I remember having a conversation with, I can't remember who it was someone in XMT like a year and a half ago now, and I was just saying, like, I'm really enjoying Morathi, but a lot of the time I can't force my opponent to blob up on me for good soul stealers. Anyway, that's where I got the idea for double manticle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just you force them to blob, because if they just bring one unit to the manticle squad, then the manticle squad wins. And thus began my journey.
Thus began the journey. All right, we're getting more into the speculative, but the last thing we'll talk about with the lords that exist is XMT Way asks, rank the lords from most to least used competitively, including Sorceress. And that's the only reason I asked this question, is because Sorceress is in there, and I am curious where she falls.
Right, sure. So Morathi at the top, obviously. I think Malekith just below that. And I probably think Lokir and Sorceresses joint.
Really?
Yes. And then below that, it's just, it's...
Yeah.
Crone probably above that, Rakarth above that, Beastmaster and Crossbow Lord above that, and like Morathi at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious about the Sorceress, and I'm not disappointed. I did not think Lokir would be on the same tier.
Lokir's good.
Huh.
He's solid. Mostly because he just doesn't die, right? And a lot of the problems with Dark Elf Lords are that they die. Malice, Crone, Carr. Even Morathi to an extent. Like, she's really squishy, and a lot of the time, the best example is probably those Wood Elves. Like, unless you're going for, like, a hard-on rush on, like, a medium or small-sized map, and you just overload them with threats where sisters can't take the time to shoot Morathi to death, you can't take her. You have to take someone else, and Lokir is an option.
Now on to speculative. What mounts would you give the legendary lords? It could be from lore or from imagination. So besides Cold Ones, Manticores, and Black Dragons, are there any mounts you're missing? That's from Hammond.
Well, I don't know that much about lore, but in terms of gameplay, I would love Morathi if she had a horse mount. Right? Or maybe like a dark unicorn. How would that work? That would be really cool, right? Like a unicorn, like Fae, that's been sort of corrupted by Dark Elven, spite.
Instead of giving you magic resist, it gives everyone around you a debuff that makes them weaker in magic.
That would be amazing. And also completely unbalanced.
Yeah.
It's like, please give Morathi Soul Stealers even more strength.
We weren't talking about balance, we're just talking about fun. Alright.
Yeah, that would be fun. No, that would be really
Hank Cyrus, you missed a little bit of Mama Morathi, but none of the meme questions. We're still in the we're still in the serious mode.
Sure.
Sorry, Hank Cyrus appeared, and he's one of your biggest fans. If you could steal a shit, it can't be a good one, a shit legendary lord or legendary hero from another roster, which one and why? Hammond.
Tic-tac-toe, I think, is a very, very good answer to that.
Huh.
Although I don't know if Tic-tac-toe really classifies as shit. He's actually, I think he's probably one of the best Lizardman lords. I think he's the most consistent Lizardman lord because he only costs 800 or 900 or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is if you put your thumb over the cost and you look at him, he's a shit lord, and then when you take it off, you're like, oh, I mean, okay.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he doesn't classify as shit, which is kind of sad. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a shit dwarf lord, but they don't really have any because all their lords do nothing, except for Borak, of course. I mean, if you want to say Belagar is a shit lord, I would take Belagar.
The vampire counts shit lords if Invocation Heck worked on your units.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Kolak counts, but none of the Chaos Lords really count, do they? They're all okay.
Yeah, that's the hard part of the question is that, like, if it's a shit lord.
Throg would really help. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Like, if you had access to Throg, yeah, I mean, a regenerating lord, that's really just it.
That's all you want.
Because you can probably take Throg against Wood Elves as Dark Elves, and then suddenly the whole Lord's Knight problem, it doesn't go away, but it gets a lot better. Let's think.
Hank Cyrus asks Grimgore.
No, I mean, Grimgore, unfortunately, low care is actually just sort of better. Right?
Gorst isn't a shit lord.
Gorst is solid.
Yeah. Nakai.
Khalida, maybe?
Oh, Khalida could be fun. Because then her fucking ranged buffs would actually maybe be helpful.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Run her around with some scourge.
Boris. I mean, I don't know if Boris counts as a shit lord, but Boris definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, Boris is good.
Or Marcus, actually, both would be fun.
All right, last.
I look around. I actually don't think there's that many terrible legendary lords anymore.
Laughs and Tretch.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of Skaven terrible lords. Sorry, I forgot about Skaven. There's like Throt, Tretch, Queek, Ikit, sort of.
Yeah, it's funny because
Skaven you only really play like Skrulks, Deathmaster, and the Seer. Right?
Yeah. Skaven are the picture of disparity because we have some of, in my opinion, the best lords in the game. Some of, not saying they are the best, but some of the best lords in the game, and some of the worst. And there's like no in between. None of our lords are like, they're fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think Snecht is probably the best lord on the roster.
He is very good.
Like, really, really good.
I love this guy.
Yeah.
But this is not a Skaven video.
It's like triple sword. I mean, Snecht is what makes me want to play Skaven, right? Like when I play Skaven, I take Snecht, or I take Ikit.
I love Ikit Claw's voice actor. Whoever did him did great.
Yeah, and there's always like some really cool like Doomwheel kite stuff you can do with Ikit in some matchups, which is really fun. Yeah.
All right, last Lord question: how to make the Beast Lord hero? The Beast Lord guy and hero better. Both the Master and the High Beast Master. That's it.
Well, they nerfed High Beast Master when Rakarth came out, so I mean, CA probably thinks I've forgotten about that, but no.
That was really funny.
Like,
that was the funniest thing I've seen.
I embody all the Dark Elf attributes in my day-to-day life. I'm gonna remember when you nerf my High Beast Master. He used to be my pick, like on a Manticore against Bretonnia. During the Lewin period, because what you would do is you'd take Dark Shards and you would use Tormentor Sword, which is the only net we have, to net down Luan and then light him up with 4 Dark Shards and hopefully win the game. And yeah, I mean, same thing against Cav, and he was fun. I miss being able to use High Beastmaster. For some reason, he required a nerf. He was too strong with his 10-second net or something, compared to everyone else who gets like a 14-second net.
Yeah, they just wanted people to take Rakarth instead of him, and then they made Rakarth suck, and they're like, well, we have to make this guy worse, so...
Yeah. As for the actual Master, it's weird. I always look at this guy's stats, and I always think, yeah, he must be okay here. But then I always try him, and he just doesn't...
It just isn't.
He just reminds me of Sora Scarbets. But on a roster without healing and worse animations.
Yeah, here's a suggestion. It might be weird, but since like the Dark Elves are supposed to be Master of Beasts and whatnot, and there's not enough of these in the game, can we get a Wyvern mount for the Masters? Because their only flying option is a Dark Pegasus, and Pegasus are the worst flying option in the game. They're just so bad. Their attack animations are shit. Somehow they always miss charges. They're just terrible, and it's like it'd be kind of cool to get a Wyvern.
You can fix Dark Pegasi and make Morathi even stronger.
True! No downside!
Exactly. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. But yeah, I mean, you could do that. Or you could give them like a Hydra mount. I mean, how cool would that be?
That would be very cool.
Like, you've got a Master literally riding a Hydra with like a bunch of like shades, or like, yeah, who just like shoot down.
No, I'm going to stop you right there, alright? It is complete bullshit that you would suggest entering into the game a monstrous mount that would have ranged characters on the back that can free fire and almost never run out of ammo. And maybe, let me guess, even apply poison? That's ridiculous!
Yeah, you could give them poison, you could give them artillery, you could give them like a big laser, you could give them a tool that kills an infinite amount of Oh, wait, hang on.
And I guess you want healing for those creatures too!
Yeah, wait. I'm having deja vu. I seem to remember that a faction has this. Oh, yeah. Screw you, Lizardman.
Fuck Lizardman. Alright. Oh, Wicked asked in the chat, so in case they need to depart soon, I will make sure their question gets asked. In what matchups can you take Hydras from Wicked and Nevermore?
Lizards. I mean, the main thing with Hydras is you can actually make them work anywhere. It's just that you need to, your build needs to mesh with them, right? Like, if you're taking Hydras, you need, firstly, you need, like, a mobility advantage, or a way to get a mobility advantage, because they will route, and when they route, you want them to come back. You don't want them to get chased off. There are some matchups that are really good, though. Beastman, Bretonia, even Dark Elf Mirror, actually, because they soak up a lot of the ranged fire. Trying to think of others. Greenskins, of course. Lizards. Vampire Coast, funnily enough. You can take them against Coast.
And
because they just have so much HP.
You said
and
this...
they don't pay for armor. They're fairly quick. They have not just regen, but like accelerated regen. And versus a lot of these factions, you won't be giving up mobility control so easily. There are also some like double Hydra builds against Wood Elves, where you just use them again to just soak up all the ammunition.
Yeah.
They're the tankiest unit you have, so why not use them?
You said this very offhand while I was leaving the chat yesterday, so both for the chat's sake and for my sake. You said something about like if you're gonna take a Hydra, you always want the Chill of Sontar.
Yes.
What was that about?
Yep. Plus 10 leadership. The melee defense is nice. Like I think it's plus 9 melee defense.
Yes, it is.
Right, sure. But very often that's the threshold between it routing off and you losing it before it gets its accelerated regen. And it not routing, you getting the regen, and then it recovers and you win the game.
True.
Chili Boy is good He's a good girl.
Can somebody out there go get me Katam? Because I have a bone to pick. So Norska, everyone's favorite roster, when they get an ice-based unit, they get fire weakness. And in case of frost trolls, they get regeneration, fire weakness, and fire weakness. They have 40%. When the Chill of Sontar is here, it only gets normal fire weakness because of regen. That's not okay. You guys get a unit with Frostbite that doesn't also get 20% more fire weakness?
Well, I mean, it also costs like 2k, right?
Oh,
also,
yeah.
minus 50 gold was not enough.
It was,
and also, minus 50 gold for Charybdis was not enough.
yeah.
Right? It was not enough. Please, like, Charybdis could cost, like, 1400, and I still wouldn't take it.
Charybdis is on here somewhere. I have one last thing about the Hydras that's just weird to me. And this isn't a Warhammer thing. This is an all fantasy thing. If you can breathe fire, how can you be weak to fire? Are you in a constant and eternal pain? Wherever that fire's coming from is just the agony of your life?
I mean, it is on the Dark Elf roster, so it would make a lot of sense.
I guess, but I love how it can breathe fire and like... But if you shoot it with a fire arrow, it's like, oh no! No, don't do that. It's too hot.
This is why the animation glitches. It just secretly doesn't want to breathe fire. That's it. That's why I have to click for you to breathe fire on a unit 16 times on one game. One game. I literally, because I was streaming, someone in chat counted. It was 16 attempts at doing the breath attack. Man.
Yeah. Every time I use Hydras, they're sweet, but their breath attacks, I kind of just like... If I get one off, it's a miracle. It's not what I brought them for.
Yeah. I mean, if... You can sort of, like, train to get them good, but you need to be really careful. Because they... Also, for some reason, they can't breath attack when they're in melee. Like, what? Why? Somebody's poking you at the bum. That doesn't matter. Just breathe fire. Come on.
Yes. The story of Hercules, his nephew cauterizes the heads when they were trying to regen. Like, I understand that, but wouldn't its, like, neck constant... Because if it could breathe fire, then its neck is getting roasted on the inside, and then it could never regen, so it would slowly lose layers of skin, and eventually its head would fall off. So no, your Greek mythology is ridiculous, and I accept none of it. All right.
Maybe Warhammer Fantasy just makes no sense at all.
Yeah. All right, you want to continue on with units, or do you want to go to some meme stuff to lighten it up for a little bit?
We can do some memes, and then we'll go back to units if you want.
Okay. Icepower specific. Hank Cyrus asks, is Lokir your sugar daddy now?
I took him like twice in the same tournament. He is my sugar daddy, but I don't see why Morathi can't be mama at the same time. You know, you need two parents.
You do.
Right?
You do. Cyrus also asks, when are we going to get back Black Ark naval battles?
Wait, was that a thing?
I think there's a Warhammer game somewhere that does naval stuff, but anyway.
Oh, I mean, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. It's annoying to me that we had a pirate DLC that didn't come with naval battles.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of sad. I mean, they did add all those like islands, right, on the campaign map. There's like interactable event things, but I mean, still.
What race?
Yeah, I mean,
sorry.
They could have done it really well, I think.
What race would make the best slaves to work in the mines? Hank Cyrus. Warhammer race. Gonna get out in front of that one.
Oh.
Before that gets clipped and someone's gonna be like, wow, cancelled.
I wasn't actually gonna say any IRL.
I know, but Cyrus loves to ping me on Discord afterwards and be like, "You son of a bitch, I caught you."
I mean, if you could bind them properly, it'd probably be Undead Scum.
Ooh, yeah.
But I also think Beastmen and Greenskin, like specifically Gauls and Orcs, would both be pretty good.
Now
Also
here-
Dowie, probably, but then maybe they're too proud.
yeah, they probably just sit down, cross their arms over their beards, and just refuse to work.
I'm sure you could break them if you torture them enough, though.
So any lore nerds out there will get this joke as I set it up. So greenskins being the best slave, what if you could take an orc, right? Because they're big, they're powerful, but they're so angry and stupid. What if you could make them a little bit smarter so they could follow orders, and you took away their impulse to just randomly flail out in violence? What if you made them calm and smarter but still powerful? And what if you called them, like, I don't know, a cool color like black orcs? Like, what if you made black orcs? Do you think that they would be good slaves?
I mean,
The Chaos Dwarves made the Black Orcs, and then they're like, smart, powerful greenskins? Nothing could go... Oh, fuck, they're killing all of us. Oh, God.
I didn't even know that was the origin of Black Orc. Again, I don't know much about the lore.
Yeah, Chaos Dwarves just took away all of the greenskin weaknesses, and they're like, this'll make a good slave. What if one or two get out and, like, organize greenskins with, like, actual tactics? That would never... Oh, God, it happened. Oh, they're everywhere.
What have we done?
All right. Real human being, this is a not as meme question, but it is interesting to me. How would you change the lore of Dark? And they ask, rank the spells from best to worst, but that's kind of a weird question. I don't know if you want to tackle that.
It's a weird question because most of them are sort of completely unusable.
Yeah. So let's
from best to worst, let's go Soul Stealer, Chillwind, Bladewind, probably Word of Pain, then Doombolt, and then Power of Dark.
all right.
One of the ways you make Power of Dark like really, really fun, interactive, and skill based is you make Power of Darkness like really cost effective. Like if I take Power of Darkness and I want to, I could bring like a Mana Battery War Hydra that I can damage and then it will regen its health back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I've got some routing troops that are being chased off, and I'm like, well, I don't care about you anymore. I'm just going to suck the souls out of you for more soul stealers, right?
Yeah.
I love that idea, and it's so dark elf, right? Like it's so quintessentially dark elf. I just love it.
So
makes me excited thinking about it. So they just improved the numbers on Power of Darkness. That would be great.
We played this game with Morathi, and I know you don't like the concept because it's like, nerf Soul Stealer, my one good spell. But like, if CA comes to you and like, listen, Icepower, we're gonna nerf Soul Stealer, but for the other 5 spells, what do you want? And you said you already did the Power of Darkness, but what would make Chillwind as good as slightly nerfed Soul Stealer? Like, not OP, but like a good spell.
Obviously, they could increase the damage, right? They could decrease the magic cost. They could do any of that number stuff. They could give it like a lot more of a slow. I mean, I find it weird that I'm spending 5 with magic. I'm spending gold for a 25% slow, basically. It has that niche use, like to knock down the blasting charges or thunderers or whatever.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's not really that great. I wish, I mean, either they up the slow to like 75%, which I think would be really devastating, and it would be really skill based in its usage, or like they double or triple the damage or something.
Yeah.
And again, they could do similar things with the other spells. The Doombolt, like the Wand of Coridon, which is the item Morathi has, which gives a bound Doombolt. I actually think Doombolt's like a really interesting spell to use. Like you can't just use Doombolt, or like you need to know what the right targets are. Like it's either blobbed up infantry, or single entities that sit below a certain speed / entity size where it will hit them. Or if you pin them in, right? Like Beastman Chariots, you pin them in with some cav, like Dark Riders or something, and then you hit with them with the wand. That's really rewarding, actually. I just want more like interactive or high skill cap gameplay. That's really all I want from Lord of Dark.
Word of Pain, I would just cut the accuracy and make it like. I mean, 40 melee attack is nice, but the accuracy is just worthless.
I mean, yeah, you could get rid of. I mean, you can make it melee defense as well, right?
Yeah.
Just like just an absolute fat 1 unit debuff, right? Basically, just like a juiced up. I mean, the thing is like spells like Helm of Discord, like items like Helm of Discord exist, which is -24/-24 in an area, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I find it hard to believe that a -40/-40 one target would be that imbalanced. Also, it's Dark Elf specific lore of magic. Like it should be powerful. It should be, yeah. Or maybe some more spells that deal damage to your own troops for some other reward.
Yeah.
That could be also good.
Zero saying something I also agree with. 11 Winds of Magic seems a bit steep for Doombolt. I think there's too many things wrong with Doombolt where like its damage when it hits is good, but it has a super long cast time. It costs a lot of Winds of Magic when it's not bound to Morathi, and you can dodge it. I think if you took out like one of those 3 downsides, it would be a way better spell. But the fact that like all 3 are true is just kind of like, okay, man, come on.
Yeah, I mean the ironic thing about the Wand of Coridon is that if it didn't reduce the Soul Stealer cost, you probably wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't take it just for the Doom Balls.
Soul Stealer costs 18.
Which is really funny. Except for maybe against Tomb Kings or Beastman. But yeah.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, god damn it, CA. Soul Stealer, if you hover over it in her spells.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you hover over it in her spells, it says 18, but on her unit card it says 16 if you have the wand.
Yes, it goes down to 16 when you have it. Yeah.
But not in her spells.
I don't know if it's a glitch, but I do know that the wand in campaign literally does reduce the cost of Soul Stealer, so...
Yeah.
It may be a glitch. I don't know if it's a glitch. I mean, she's meant to be like the best caster, so it sort of makes sense, right?
Yeah. We're talking about magic, so I'll skip down a couple questions and just ask from Bob Tretch, how to fix Soul Stealer.
I don't think it needs fixing. I think you guys need fixing.
Yeah, I was teeing you up for that one, but I'm going to ask the question. So
stop blobbing on Dark Elf units. It's like, yeah. I mean, I was playing a game with an unnamed ODM player, like a couple weeks ago. And it's just like, yes, if you pour your entire force on top of 5 single entities, and then I hit you with double Webs of Shadows and then like multiple Soul Stealers, of course you will lose. It doesn't matter that you're playing the most overpowered faction; you're still going to lose, and you should do. Like I don't know. Some people have a problem with that, but
all right. Back to the fun stuff. Flying Taco asks, what instrument would Malekith play if he joined an orchestra?
Come
here. Quit being a butt.
Let's think. What's his energy like? What would you say about his characteristics? He's sort of like arrogant, spiteful, filled with hatred. I don't know. He sounds like a conductor to me.
Oh, okay.
Possibly like a second violin. Yes, he's a violinist, but he's not good enough to be in the first violins. So he'll be in the second violins, and he'll constantly bitch about everyone in the first violin and about how bad they are, even though he's worse. Yeah, that's it. Welcome to orchestra jokes. Yes.
What piano sonata have you written for Mama? Is your favorite? Oh, okay, Cyrus. Sorry, I misread that. What piano sonata that you have written for Mama is your favorite, implying you have multiple?
I mean, I didn't write it whilst there was playing this game, but there was one that is very, very dark elf. maybe I'll play a recording on stream at some point.
Yes, the Icepower concert. I think that's another question on here.
In C-sharp minor.
How universal is the, to quote Happy Puppy, Icepower build, Hank Cyrus?
It's actually very universal. Like, so we're talking Morathi double Manticore, some amount of Dark Riders, Squadron of Chariots, and Chaff. With some, like, sometimes you'll see K-Knight Assassins, and sometimes you'll see like 1 or 2 Dark Shots. This is like all those units. I think have sort of been identified as my own sort of meta, and they're viable in most matchups. Like, you can take that sort of build, I think, pretty much everywhere, except for maybe Wood Elves and Dwarves. Yeah, I'm happy enough saying that. You can take that anywhere except for Wood Elves, Dwarves. And it's a build that you can win with. Against most things. Like, because Scourgerunners are like your WD-40, they sort of deal with most things well if you play well enough with them. And if you identify the win conditions for both sides. They're great insurance against lots of different, like, one-sided builds, you know? Like if someone infantry spams you, or if someone like cap spams you, or someone spams single entities, or, you know, tries to cheese you with dragons, or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
Skirmish, like a skirmish cheese kind of. Like any one-sided playstyle, Scourgerunners will actually have some insurance against it, which is, it's why they're so good, I think.
What did Mama Morathi think of your months-long affair with Grom the Paunch, Cyrus?
Oh man. Yeah, she didn't like it. That's for sure. She was mad at me. She punished me. I'll say no more.
On Valentine's Day, will you change your name to IcepowerTW, Jeremy?
Happily, yes. Someone remind me.
Someone
remind me when Valentine's Day is anything, because otherwise I'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yes. Are you jealous of the Morathi-Malekith relationship? What's your reaction to getting cucked by Morathi for Malekith? Jeremy and Cyrus. The cultured part of the stream.
Here we go. Yeah, I'm pretty jealous.
Well,
Having said that, at least, you know, I get to keep my face. Malekith doesn't, so, you know, give and take.
Nice face, nerd. He just cries. All right. Jeremy, without any kind of tournament limits, what would your Dark Elf build look like? Jeremy. Sorry, I forget if I said that.
Oh, man. It would probably end up being some, like, 6 to 8 Scourgerunners with Dark Rider support. But overall, I think Dark Elves are one of these factions that isn't actually constrained too much by tournament limits. I'd say the 2 units that we would like to take more of, if we could, is Dark Riders. Like, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And probably Scourgerunners. Maybe Chaff as well. Like, there are some cases where I probably want to take more than 8 Chaff units. But
Dread
yeah,
Spears.
overall, I don't think this is a faction that's really affected by tournament limits on the whole.
You could have a build of just Dread Spears and Malekith and use all your money. It's possible.
Yeah, but I mean, that wouldn't be very good.
No, it's not. Oh, it's a 0 gold spend. All right, you have to now. What? Oh, I like this question. Real human being, the most fun and least fun play styles. You indicated that you like taking Cav and Cav-centric builds that are very skilled focused. Now, when we're talking about playstyle, it's like for you play this to get a win, but you have no fun with it.
Box against Vampire Camps.
Yeah.
Or Blackguard Rush against Britannia. Or box against Greenskins. Or box against Beastmen. The whole single entity spam, the Morathi double Manticore double Assassin, I don't find that not fun. I actually really enjoy playing that because you can't just always blob the single entities under all circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
You do actually, very often against Beastmen actually, specifically, is a lot of the time, unless they give you a really good engagement, you actually don't want to engage the single entities super quick. You actually want to sort of move around, win engagements against the Centicles. Use the fact that you have mobile terror to your advantage, and they don't. They'll have Manticores too, but they're a bit constrained because you have Morathi as well, and assassins and stuff. So I actually really enjoy that playstyle. Less mobile box stuff I find less fun.
You've just proved that Dark Elves are in fact still elf mains. They're just a little more bitter. Literally every elf player I ever talked to is like, the most fun is being fast.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Although having said that, I do also enjoy Dark Shard Bolt Thrower builds and Protect. It reminds me of my days playing Coast. Because for those of you who don't know, I did start off maining Dark Elves. But when I first started, I also mained Counts and Coast. And those three were my picks. In fact, I'd pick them into any matchup, because I didn't really know any other matchups or factions or anything really.
The Edgelord Trio.
Yes. And now Falcon has taught me the ways in that. Now I know that they're undead scum. We do not give them our love. We hate them.
All right. Smart. I personally, for me, these answers are linked, so I'm going to ask two real human being questions at the same time. How do you make Dark Elf infantry better and more lore friendly? And do you like the implementation of Murderous Prowess?
How do you make it more lore friendly? Well, again, I'm not super duper on board with the lore, but it seems to me that if you wanted to go all out on lore friendly, you would just make all Elven factions completely unviable in multiplayer, because all of their units would just be super duper elite compared to the more bestial factions, or the human factions, and then suddenly you'd just be in a place where all your elite units would just get shot to death, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I like Dark Elven chaff as it is. I think 450 is a fine price point. One of the things I don't understand about Elven chaff though is they look like they're covered in plate mail, and they have 30 armor.
That is pretty weird.
Right? I never really understood that. And the thing is you look at Blackguard and Hagen of Executioners in battle, and they don't even look that much more armored, but they're 100 armor.
Yeah.
I don't know. As for Murderous Prowess, I actually sort of like how it's done. I would probably prefer it if you could get a certain number of kills and then trigger it, like WA, so that you could make a timed push. Because usually the way it happens is, oh shit, Murderous Prowess has gone down. It's time to make sure all my troops are engaged for the next 60 seconds, or whatever it is, right? Instead of, okay, I've charged up my Murderous Prowess, now I'm gonna take the time to make a proper alpha strike and smash my opponent. Now's the time to go hard in, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think
I would prefer to do. But I don't think it's a bad implementation. I do think more units should have Murderous Mastery. That's what I will say.
That's like the Cold One Dread Knights one, right?
No, Dread Knights don't have it. No, which is maddening. The ROR do.
Oh, okay, there it is.
Also, they need to change Murderous Prowess from being increased missile damage to being increased reload skill, because it makes no sense that, oh, I'm angry, now I'm going to shoot harder. No. I'm angry, now I'm going to shoot faster.
Have you ever watched an anime Icepower? That's exactly how it works. Guns deal more damage when you're mad. My personal thoughts on... Grumbrindle says hi. Okay, Swiss Pike, and I don't want to forget that question either. I'll get right back to it. But Murderous Mastery, it was asked of me later what I thought of it. I have an entirely different take on Murderous Mastery, and let me know what you think of this. Where it's like, or Murderous Prowess, either one. So you know the Norska thing where the longer they're in battle, they get more buffs?
Yeah.
And the Dreicher thing where the less health she gets more buffs.
Right.
From what I understand of Dark Elves in the lore, the closer they get to losing, the harder they fight. So I would like there to be like 3 leadership brackets where at 100% leadership you get jack shit. 75% to 50% leadership you get a mild buff. 50% to 25% you get a pretty good buff, and like 25% to 0 you get like this nuts buff of like we're about to break, fuck, and they just like start murdering shit on their way out, because Dark Elves...
I mean, that sounds great.
Dark Elves are bad to put in a corner. You don't want to corner a Dark Elf, because they don't really have inhibitions about like what's fair play. Like they will gore you to death because they're frightened, and it's just like... Yeah, I personally would like that.
And you could even give like ITP to some of the Murderous Mastery units on that lower tier.
Yeah, no, stop Blackguard and Aggron from terror routing. Oh, wait, sorry, they have ITP.
They have ITP.
Harganeth Executioners.
Knights, Sisters of Slaughter. Yeah. In general, I just think Murderous Mastery ought to be actually just more of a buff, rather than just Murderous Prowess, but for longer.
No.
Like, I think, because the fact that it's longer means nothing at all. Because if you think about the units Murderous Mastery is on, Witch Elves, Sisters of Slaughter, Harganeth Executioners, sort of.
ROR Dread Knights.
ROR Dread Knights, I think that's the last one, actually, which is really funny. But none of these units are actually going to survive like for 120 seconds in a melee.
Yeah.
Witch Elves especially.
Enigmas ask, how does Murderous Prowess impact any tactical decisions made? You kind of implied that one, but it's hard to have a tactic when it just pops.
So basically, there are engagements you want to take, and there are engagements you don't want to take. The threshold of what divides the two will change slightly when you see Prowess go down. But that's something that only goes into my calculations now after I've played, maybe 2,000 hours of Dark Elves multiplayer.
Yeah.
Right, if you're learning Dark Elves, I really wouldn't worry about it too much. Just think maybe, if it comes down, I'll just push a little bit harder. I'll try and make sure more of my melee units are engaged. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's like one of the most notable ones is if I see Murderous Prowess go down, if in Dark Elves Bretonnia, for example, I know that suddenly I want the fight between Dread Knights and Questing Knights. Whereas before, I did not want that fight. And there are specific examples of that all across the matchup spectrum.
There's some random questions in YouTube chat I'll get before they get buried too far. Your opinions on the Volkmar, Steam Tank, Jade Wizard, Warrior Priest, Ball of Friendship?
I actually beat that very recently, but it was like an absolute hell of a game. Like, I was playing Greenskins actually against some guy on Ant Ladder, and oh my god, it was it was a special day. Like I think I dropped the replay in Turin's channel somewhere, but obviously Turin's not casting these days, so.
Yeah.
Um,
And then for Poland asks, why don't you like Bilbo Bagosh's new name, IcepowerTW?
yeah, I mean, I don't know why he's doing this, but
He's on my friends list too, and whenever he gets online, I'm like, different person. All right.
I mean, I should probably just call myself Bilbo Bagosh. And then...
Yeah, flip it on him.
Yeah, exactly. See how he feels.
Hank Cyrus asks, when will we get another winning piano concert?
I mean, I guess next time I play it when I tournament. I'm streaming. I've not been streaming a lot recently. I actually had a concert on Tuesday. I did a pretty fun recital in a cathedral. That was fun. But for that, and then the rest of my uni work, and just the fact that everyone's waiting for Warhammer 3, I haven't been super active streaming recently. But I will be back. Don't you worry.
Oh, I'm worried. Do you put ice in your water and drink your beer cold, Hammond?
Yes, to both.
Are ice Pokemon your favorite, Hammond?
Yeah. What's the name of the Phoenix, of the Frost Phoenix in Pokemon?
Articuno!
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
That's the best one. It's the best one.
of course.
Nevermore asks, how excited are you for Slanesh?
Oh, I mean, I think Slanesh should be. If they do it well, it's going to be really fun because it's going to be like the whole idea of like Dark Elves in multiplayer, which is like fast, hard hitting, kind of squishy, high risk, high rewards. That kind of play style, but it's going to be like on steroids, and it's going to be a whole new roster to play with. And yeah, Slanesh is definitely the faction I am most excited for. Although the fact that they've shown Zinch first, and Korn and Kislev and Kate does worry me a little bit, because I think that probably they're keeping Slanesh and Nurgle in the background because they're probably not as proud of the work they've done with it. Unless, of course, the problem is that both factions break a lot of like advertisement rules, which for Slanesh would make a lot of sense, right? I mean, if some of the units are like really,
Do their swords have to be
out
dicks?
there, right? Basically, and Nurgle, like they could have some really grotesque stuff.
Yeah.
It's like even the Warhammer 3 trailer where like Nurgle's mouth opens.
And all his maggots are in there.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of funky.
All right.
So I mean, I can only hope that that's the reason this hasn't gone down.
Hammond asks, why don't you stream your rehearsals?
Because rehearsals aren't really that entertaining, unless you guys like hearing the same bar of music again and 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 again.
I mean, they watch me play Skaven, so...
Because it turns out orchestral musicians can't be bothered to look at the parts before they come to the first rehearsal. The concerto problems, yeah? It's like I'm doing Beethoven's Third Piano Concerto, I'm doing Rubinstein 4, or I'm doing Sanson 2, or Sanson Africa, or any of these like mainstream concertos. You just don't know where they're coming in. And then you just see them struggle through the semiquaver passages. It's just, no. Nobody wants to see that. Sorry, that was a bit of a rant on...
You're fine. Hammond... I saw this in YouTube chat earlier, and now he's PM'd it to me, so fine, I'll ask him. What did... Oh, where was it? What did the composer say to the other composer that was running away? Get Bach. Ha. Ha ha. It hurts me.
Aha!
How are you today, physically, mentally, emotionally? You doing all right, Hammond?
I'm doing all right. Yeah,
Good.
doing pretty good. Yeah, very good.
Is your name Spice Power because one of your clanmates heard you singing Spice Girls? Also Hammond.
No, it's just something Falcon calls me, and he just started calling me. I think it's because of some of my spicy interactions with other community members. It's, yeah. Yeah. I say what I mean, and I mean what I say.
You're the
Let's go
Lorax,
with
you
that.
speak for the trees.
Yeah, so let's go with that, yeah.
Nameless Order is asking in the chat, is Brett so hard for Dark Elves compared to Vampire, Coast, or Skaven? I would definitely think that Skaven is much more even than Brett.
I think Skaven's pretty much 50-50. I mean, I always think about it, and I think it's like, it must be slightly Skaven favored because of Giselles and Poison Wind Globes, but I don't know, I just play it, and yeah, I think Dark Riders and Squadron of Chariots still just make that matchup pretty interactive. I actually really enjoy that matchup.
Winterwind has been bringing Doomfire Warlocks into me a lot, and they're really fucking annoying to deal with.
Right, but they also cost 1200, so
Yes.
it's like if you're bringing a 1200 gold unit to be quote unquote annoying, right? Like, and this is a classic example of I want to take more Dark Riders, but I can't because tournament rules don't let me. Right? I would love to take 8 Dark Riders. And you know what's crazy is that isn't even abusive, right? If you think about it, like all the factions with Warhounds get to take 8 dogs if they want. You know, like Greenskins get to take Wolf Riders and Spider Riders and Spider Rider Archers and Squig Hoppers, which are all sort of in the same price range.
Yeah.
They get to double up on all of them if they want to. The fact that tournament rules aren't just like a light cavalry maximum or a heavy cavalry maximum, or I don't know. That's one of my big problems with the rules and the rule sets in general, because I should be able to take 8 Dark Riders if I want to.
So very fair interpretation of what you just said is that Dark Elves are dogs. They're essentially dogs. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Yeah. No. I am kind of surprised that this. I mean, I guess all you're doing is throwing a shield on them, but I still think like I wouldn't really hate it if it was 4-4 Dark Riders, because Dark Riders aren't that bad to play against. I mean, they're not a shit unit, right? Like, because they're cheap, but like, you know, they're not. It's not like, oh fuck, these Dark Riders are killing all of my guys. It's like, no, they're just a basic light cavalry that can chase off stuff. But if it takes a straight engagement, it's probably going to lose. Like,
Yeah.
they're fine.
I mean, the fact is that like I end up having to pay 1200 for a Doomfire Warlock when I don't even want the spells. I don't even want the stat boost. Like, I don't want this unit, but I need to take it because tournament rules tell me I can't take Dark Riders. It just seems very artificial. That's all.
All right. Who besides you is the best Dark Elf player? Nevermore.
Ooh. Well, firstly, I don't think I'm the best because Falcon does exist. Like, as for someone who, I don't know. I've been really happy watching Carl Harmon's games a lot recently. I find his approach to Dark Elves really fun. Like I mentioned that Dread Knights were working for me against Lizardmen, so because we played that matchup a lot, right? He's a Lizardman main, and now he started just like blitzing out Dread Knight builds in places where I didn't even think they'd be possible. It's really fun and it's exciting. Other than Carl Harmon, Chosen One is good. I don't know, there's not a lot of us. I'm sure there's people I'm missing, but there's not a lot of us at all.
Anybody you forget that's probably a filthy degenerate. Fuck them. Just a blanket fuck them. All right. Best of 7 Icepower versus Void Laws when? Nevermore.
I actually mentioned on
Turin's live stream chat, I'd be down to do it. I'm not sure who would be down to watch, because quite frankly, that sounds like an absolute, like, yeah, I don't know.
It's kind of like
Doesn't sound too fun for anyone to watch, but
it's kind of like a telenovela. You don't show up for the plot; you show up for the drama.
yeah, people would show up just just for him to call me a, I don't know if we're censoring or whatever, but or for me to call him or for me to hate on VM, or to him to hate on XMT, or blah 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 whatever.
Yeah.
Him to start moaning about AoEs being unbalanced, or about Morathi being overpowered, despite him using like Grom in every single green skin game I ever saw him play. Yeah.
All right. Only hearing voice chat together. Even star riffle shuffle. All right. I'll leave those because they're just listing a bunch of people who have played Dark Elves once or twice. Let's see. Why are you?
Riffle Shuffle actually is a very good Dark Elf player.
I don't.
But I think Riffle Shuffle, his micro is just insane. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't always make the best decisions, and I think if he took the time to make the best decisions and to learn what the good decisions are, he would be like, yeah, he'd be Falcon 2.0, but for some reason, he scares me.
Riffle Shuffle not barely plays, but he just barely ever plays in tournaments. But then when he does, he does really well.
He's not really in the Turin community as much. He's more in the Zerkovich community. I know there's overlap, of course, but he's been playing in tournaments this side of that divide more recently, and he's been doing very well.
Are you a bigger simp for Dark Elves, or is a Rider of Rohan a bigger simp for High Elves?
I'd say I'm definitely a bigger simp for Dark Elves. Yeah, it's like I embody their attributes and their traits in my day-to-day life. So.
Why do people keep disappearing near your house? Don't ask about that. Just let it go. It's the murderous mastery. As someone with musical talent, what do you think of Rat Boy's singing, Hank Cyrus?
I have not heard it, I'm gonna be honest.
Sometimes during stream, especially during a very boring kite versus kite game, I'll just be like, and nothing's happening, da 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 da, this fucking sucks, da 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 da.
Well, it sounds very rhythmically based. That sounds good. Yeah.
It's
just work on pitching, I guess.
It's just when you run out of things to say about arrows missing other people with arrows, you're like, I just gotta fill this void.
I actually once did it was either a clan war or a faction war or something, like some high profile game that was being streamed by Turin. I was just completely like sloshed. And I remember doing the stream for like 1 or 2 games before I went to bed, and I was just like, I was singing Queen for some reason. I watched the stream back. That was an experience. But yeah, fun.
Hazel's here. Hazel says hi. Okay. Hello. Yes, you're a lovable puppy, but I have work to do. What do you have to say to Human Boy now that he is a Dark Elf main? Nevermore and Cyrus.
Good luck.
Thanks, buddy.
And you all hate it just as much as I do.
I hate everything equally.
To be fair, it's probably better than being a Skaven main these days.
Skaven mains right now require dedication. Hadri's and Chosen One abandoned the faith, but when we're good again...
Well, I know what that feels like. I mean, Hadri's and Chosen One abandoned the Dark Elf faith, too. I don't know, mate. There seems to be some weird overlap between Dark Elf mains and Skaven mains. Very strange to me.
It's edgelords. Edgelords unite.
Yeah.
Your section of you specific questions was the largest of any guest because, like, you just have a following already. And it was funny because Dark Elves were the second most voted for faction, like, every time. But they ended up being last because they always came in second. And it was really funny. But
that is pretty funny. Because I remember you asking me, like, in the first week, you were like, oh yeah, Dark Elves got second, so you should probably be ready to come on next week. And it was like it was like 3 months ago or something.
Yeah. And then months passed, and Dark Elves kept coming in second. All right. Jeremy, I'm gonna yes. I'm gonna lump these together because we've been going a little bit long. CA comes to you and wants you to design one unit for the Dark Elf roster. What is it? Like brand new unit.
Huh. It wouldn't necessarily be like competitive or anything, but like if they sort of downgraded the War Hydras to like feral War Hydras, and then they could make like a mounted War Hydra, you know, one with just like a bunch of shades on the back shooting stuff down, and led by like a Beastmaster. Maybe even you could like add it as a character now. So we touched on that earlier, but
Yeah.
that sounds really cool to me. Yeah. Also, shades with spears.
Shades of Spears. Kind of like the War Dancers with Azrai Spears.
No, I was thinking like a ranged unit, but with spears.
Oh, Slav and Seaguard. Kind of.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not because they.
Yeah, that idea. F&G asks, how has your philosophy of playing Dark Elves changed over time? I
That's
grew
a really-
crueler, more hate-filled.
Well, in my early days, I used to take a build. Like, I just started spamming Quick Battle. That's how I got into the game. And I took Malekith on a dragon with his 2,975 kit. That was what it was. I took 3 Sisters of Slaughter, 4 Dread Spears, 2 Shades. No, it was. Sorry, 1 Shade. It was 4 Dark Riders, and then it was Slanash's Harvesters. And this was the build I took against every single faction for like 200 games. And yeah, that was fun.
Oh my god. You're the one who introduced me to Murph Alurf. Did you hear of, God, I forgot his name, damn it. There was some guy that joined Murph's lobby, because Murph just loves to host an open lobby, and he says, come fight me, lovers.
Right. Yeah.
And this guy, every game, took like 4 Rattling Guns, 4 Jezzails, 2 Warp Lightning Cannons, some Globes, and like 3 Skaven Slaves, and that was it. And every game, Murph was just kicking his ass with like, oh, I'll take monsters. Oh, I'll take cav. Oh, I'll take just infantry. And he would take any build, and this guy would be like, wow, you fucking noob. You're a real piece of shit, aren't you? And every game he takes the same build, and Murph keeps beating him, and he gets more and more pissed off. And that's immediately your story reminded me of that. It's like, I just kept taking the same build, but just no matter
that's
what.
really funny, because like a couple of weeks ago I played with Murph on his stream, and I basically took that same build and just like destroyed him with it like 3 times.
Yeah, this guy wasn't a good player, though. It was
Man, that's really
it was so funny to watch. That guy was triggering the shit out of me. Just
But I actually think this is one of the better ways to learn a faction. Like, you just take some of the core units and then you establish a win condition. The win condition here being 3 Sisters of Slaughter and a dragon, right?
yeah.
There's some really cool builds like this.
And when you lose, call someone a piece of shit, of course.
Of course, of course. I mean, how could you not?
My build was not the problem. It's that you're a piece of shit. Is why I couldn't win. All right. Real Human Being at Tequila Sunset ask, why don't Dark Elves use guns? Should they?
I mean, I don't want to quote, but it seems to me like the sort of whole nature of having to pull a crossbow bolt outside of your body sounds more evil and spiteful and hateful
That's true.
than a bullet just going straight through you. I don't know. I mean, I mostly I just want dark shards and shade, like the crossbow units, to have their arcs of fire changed to that, like somewhere in between guns and arrows, right?
Hmm.
Guns and bows, somewhere in between. The fact that it's just like a bow is just stupid. Really, it is. It's just silly.
Yeah, crossbows have a real crossbows have a very low arc of fire. They don't
Yeah.
volley nearly as much. Or sorry, not volley, arc.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a really big question, so I'm going to narrow it down to give me one example of this. Wei, what are composite unit squads Dark Elves employ competitively? Example being Cold One Knights plus Manticore to take out enemy cavalry. Again, that is a gigantic question, so just one example of two things that work well together.
Well, Morathi double Manticore, obviously.
Skip that one.
Dark Riders and Squadron of Chariots. Sorry, my Age of Empires is... There's a tournament starting in 2 minutes, so I just need to... I don't know, it's loud.
Yeah.
Probably Dark Riders and Squadroners. Because Squadroners sort of... they don't chase very well, and... I know, they're both just very mobile and very independent once they're giving support to each other. Often Dark Riders will do well against things that have been softened up by Squadroners. I'm trying to think of other ones. No, I think that's probably the best one.
If you have to go and start focusing soon, we can power through some of the questions people would want to hear from you, and then I can finish off, because usually with the guests, after hour 2.5, they go, and I just power through meme questions alone.
Right. I mean, we can do it, because the tournament hasn't started yet.
Yeah. All right, I'll finish off the Ice Power specific ones, and then we'll go into units really quick, and then you can leave whenever you need to. Why are you called Ice Power? Are you a Norwegian Brit? If not, why don't you call yourself Water Power? Hammond.
I am not a Norwegian Brit. I'm actually an Irish / Anglo Brit, right?
That explains many things to me.
So I think if you go to my great-grandfather on both sides, they're both from Ireland. They came over when everyone was coming over to Liverpool and Manchester. That's where my family's from. But I think if you actually track even further back, they were actually Northern English. So I've actually just come straight back to where my where my roots are anyway. So yes, but no, that's not why I call myself Icepower. Icepower is just the name that me and my brother came up with when we first played World of Warcraft.
Oh.
Which is Icepower WoW, and then I had the idea to rename it after whatever game I was playing.
Yeah.
But the TW still doesn't stand for Total.
Damn it. I'm still gonna just fill that in with Total War, because I'll definitely forget that it's not that.
Yeah,
it's just too perfect. The rest of these I can answer, except for what models would you like to get a visual update, Jeremy?
I don't know. I think all the Dark Elf models are actually really good right now. Yeah, I don't know about
that. Okay. Kairos, Fate Weaver.
Maybe just make Morathi hotter.
Somehow.
Yeah.
Kairos Fate Weaver asked in the YouTube chat a while ago, but I put it into the units section so that the conversation didn't go all over the place. Reaper Bolt Throwers, when?
Oof. Okay. Reaper Bolt Throwers. They're decent at fighting artillery duels. They're good at killing big monsters, big slow monsters that can't dodge. That's pretty much it. So that means, you can make builds against them in Dark Elf Mirror. You can make them work against Lizardmen. I mean, you know my Dark Elf Lizardmen build.
Yes, you've helped me with that matchup quite a bit.
Yes. Obviously great against Coast, because they're always going to have targets. Even if that target is only just Mongols, it's still a target.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think any matchups. You can take them against dwarves if you're not rushing. You just snipe out the artillery and sort of skirmish with them with like Shade or Dark Shards or whatever. That like forcing dwarves to come forward can be a real pain for them. I think.
Yeah.
Other matchups, in theory, you can use them against Skaven, but everyone's gonna bring goddamn Dreaded 13th, so good luck keeping them alive.
In what situations can you use Dark Elf Elite Infantry like Sisters of Slaughter, Executioners, or Black Guard? That's from Tatamut and Chasing Rainbows. We honestly talked about that a lot with Vampire Counts and Dark Elf Mirror and other such things, so I think we can kind of blow past that one. Dark Riders with shields or without? Tatamut.
With most of the time. Most of the time you want the extra melee defense.
For 50 gold, that is quite nice.
And the sub options, it's just... Ideally you'll take it, but if you really need the money to like pay for, I don't know, like an extra manticore or something, of course you'll cut them. But generally your go-to should be take the shielded version. Don't worry too much about when not to. In theory, you can make an argument to not take them against Beastmen because charge bonuses apply, and paying for melee defense against that is actually sort of pointless anyway, and you're not going to get shot, so...
Yeah.
But even there, like if you get good Dark Rider engagements, you won't be subjected to the charge bonus. And then since Centaurs have quite low combat stats, the extra melee defense will be very, very useful. So even that is like give and take, but generally just default to taking the shield, I think.
Smart. I mean, it's only 50 gold for 6 melee defense and bronze shield. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Why is Charybdis, as a Gorgon is for the Beastmen, the best unit for Dark Elves? Razel and Tetamut.
Because it looks cool. It's clearly it. That's the answer.
Because it looks cool.
In all honesty, it's a terrible unit, and you should never ever take it in a serious build. But
yeah, it's pretty bad.
But it looks cool, so yeah.
Can any of the Medusa units be useful? Nevermore and Real Human Being.
Arguably against High Elves, but even then, it's like there are better builds not using them, so...
Best and worst Dark Elf Infantry. Real Human Being.
Best, Dread Spears. Worst... Worst. Probably Executioners. Or probably Sisters of Slaughter, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Or maybe Corsairs. Corsairs are also pretty damn terrible. You mean melee infantry, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This I am.
Oh, Hellbronies. Hellbronies, probably.
The Hellbronies are pretty bad.
They're pretty awful.
I did have this question for you. Because I love them, but everybody else hates them. No Cane, no gain. Why are Blackheart Corsairs just bad rangers?
What, the melee version?
Yeah, I like them.
They just don't perform a lot of the time. And mainly it's the type formation that gives them the main disadvantage compared to High Elf Rangers. And the thing is High Elf Rangers are not actually that good a unit. It's just that the other High Elf chaff units, like Spearmen, are just so bad that like 500 gold for a High Elf Spearman is like extortion. They like, yeah.
They beat Skaven slaves, so I don't know what you're complaining about. I mean, just saying, 1v1.
Yeah.
No, I do agree. Memes aside. Alright.
But yeah, I mean, Corsairs in theory are quite cost effective, but this type formation leaves them vulnerable to being charged. They have lower model count, which means less HP, which means going to get bullied by chariots. Yeah, pretty much it.
How often do you use assassins, nameless order?
Quite a lot, I'd say.
Um,
They're not always the best pick, but a lot of the time they're quite good.
do you want pure melee shades? Why or why not? Real human being?
I don't know what role they'd fill.
Yeah.
Like,
Sounds like Black Ark
what would
Crusades.
It sounds like a lot like Wildwood Rangers to me, and I feel like Sisters of Slaughter actually fill a lot of the same roles as Wildwood Rangers, but they're actually just better in every way. Wildwood Rangers are just pretty terrible, in all honesty.
Why are shades with great weapons the best countercharging unit? No gain, no gain.
I mean, they're not. I know nothing else to say.
Okay. Real question: when to bring shades? Chasing rainbows.
When to bring shades?
Again, not matchups. Like what situation?
If you need some support for an airborne unit, like that one build fits all I showed you earlier with Dragon Malekith and a single shade, that's just so you don't get sniped if your opponent has superior air. Generally, Dark Shards and Repeater Crossbows and Scourge Runners will do the job better. Repeater Crossbows mostly.
Yeah.
But Shades are good if you really want the stealth. So if you want to use a ranged build against Skaven, if you want to use it against other artillery factions, Coast, Dwarves, even Tomb Kings to an extent, if you fear a casket, although I don't know why you'd fear a casket, because they're going to rush you. They should rush you. Yeah. That's about it.
Harpies with missiles, yes or no, Hammond?
That sounds a lot like the Raven's Heralds. I don't know. I don't really want Dark Elves to become this like cancerous missile faction, like air cheese missile faction. It doesn't sound fun. I don't want to play it, and I don't even want the option to be there for others to play it. So, no.
There was a question for you about... yes. How big is the beautiful Dark Sorceress Morathi fan club, Hank Cyrus? You wanted me to ask you that before you leave.
So there's me. I don't know. There must be others.
How many subscribers do you have on YouTube?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know how many. Like,
I was gonna say because it's about that big.
300 or something.
All right, that's how big it is. You're just the archpriest of this religion, Ice. You need to accept this. Best and worst ROR, Tediment.
Best and worst ROR.
Ravagers of Rakarth or Helabroni are my worst options.
Yeah, they're both pretty bad. Also, the ROR Medusa is pretty bad. Best ROR is probably either ROR Witch Elves, because Terra is fair and balanced, or Chili Boy.
Yeah, Chili Boy!
Such a big improvement on the regular that it's just really useful.
Do you sometimes not pick Scourge Runners, Tediment?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's lots of places that I'm bringing Scourge Runners. Dwarves, Vampire Counts, Vampire Coast. Trying to think of the matchups. I mean, you don't have to bring Scourge Runners. I just like them.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, they're my WD-40. I'm just like, oh, I need insurance against some, very one-sided playstyle, so I'll just take a couple of Scourge Runners and then I'm okay.
No Cane No Gain asks, what's the best counter skirmish unit besides Scourge Runners?
Sorry, can you say that one more time?
If Scourge Runners didn't exist, how would you fight Skirmish?
Repeater crossbows can do a decent job at it. Shades would probably be better. Spirit Leech would probably be better. And screening, I guess. I don't know how Dark Elves got by before, but probably Repeater crossbows because they do have a lot more range than say like Murder Horsemen. So if you had enough of them, you would be able to fight off like 5 or 6 skirmish cav. They trade decently with Outriders, depending on how good the Empire player's micro is. Because of course you can't dodge their shots, but they can dodge yours because crossbows suck.
Mm-hmm. What is the most niche and most flexible units? Real human being. And that's not good or bad. Niche is like good only in one situation.
I'd say for niche, probably executioners because like you take them against dwarves and they do well against dwarves. You don't really take them anywhere else because most factions have just too many possibilities. What was the other one? Niche and
flexible.
Flexible is definitely like probably like Bleak Swords or Dreadspears or Dark Riders or Squadrons. Probably one of those four. Maybe Manticores.
All right. You got to go play your tournament stuff?
Not just yet, I don't think.
Okay. Is the Bloodrack Shrine basically Volkmar 2.0? No gain, no gain.
No, because it's terrible. Volkmar is really good. I mean, actually, I say Volkmar is really good. Like, Volkmar is really good for his roster.
Yes.
Like, he fits the Empire roster very, very well in that anything that kills him, he has Outriders, pistols, handgunners, cannons, hellbasters, blah blah blah, huntsmen to kill them, or demis even. And anything that the Empire roster can't kill, which is mid-tier and mid-tier infantry, he kills very well. So,
I think the rest of the unit stuff I can answer. Jeremy asks, I'm bad at Dark Elves, how do I get better besides playing a different faction?
I mean, you'd have to see what the problems are, like other particular matchups you struggle with, or what.
No. Probably just, I mean, Dark Elves don't really forgive a bad build, right? If you have a bad build as Dark Elves, it's really punishing. It's probably knowing your builds inside and out. Flying Taco asked, what's your favorite favorite frozen dessert, sorry.
I mean, ice cream just is nice. I like ice cream with peaches.
Fancy. Do you have the mental capacity for Game 3 questions, or are you busy?
Yeah, I can answer one or two now, if you want.
Okay. Which Game 3 faction do you want the Dark Elves to match up against in a DLC, Jeremy?
Maybe not against, but like a joint DLC of them and Slaanesh would make a lot of sense, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't see any lore reasons for them to really interact with any of the other factions, right? So, like maybe you could do a sort of Arkan thing where Dark Elves get a little lord who's like, is like a Slaanesh cultist, and then but then the other Dark Elf lords really don't like them because Slaanesh feeds on elven souls and stuff, right?
Yes. What do you expect to be good or bad matchups versus the Game 3 factions we know about, Jeremy?
For Dark Elves, I think, from what I've seen, actually, depending on balancing, of course, like costs, like I think Khorne will be a good matchup.
Oh.
I think Tzeentch will be a bad matchup because missiles is just how to make Dark Elves cry. I think Cathay and Kislev will be even matchups, just like Empire and Dwarves, basically. Just yeah. Of course, again, all of this will depend on unit balancing. Like, if these guys just get really amazing cost-effective units, then of course it's going to be a horrible matchup. But compared to other factions' matchups against the new ones, I think Dark Elves will sit in those slots I just explained. Yeah.
What lores of Magic do you regularly bring other than lore of Soul Stealer, a real human being?
As Dark Elves, Lore of Fire, Lore of Death, Lore of Manticores.
Alright, good spread, actually.
Yeah. I say Lore of Death, I don't actually usually bring it. Yeah, I think Lore of Manticores, Lore of Fire, and Soul Stealer. Actually, you know, how often do I actually bring Manticores? I'm not even sure I do bring them that often. I bring it like in a couple matchups, but as I told you earlier, like I tried it against Dwarves and lost to a Slayer Rush, so I've actually stopped doing that.
Is there any units you want in a DLC? Like the DLC we talked about comes out, what units come with it?
I don't think so in particular. Again, I don't really know the lore as much. I would like a new heavy cav unit, but yeah, I want just like a mid-tier cav. Like lizards get cold on riders, and that's unfair.
What is your favorite lord in game and lore? You don't know the lore that well. And who is missing from the game? That's from Tadamut. I mean, neither of us know Dark Elf lore that great.
Again, I don't know the lore that well.
Yeah.
So.
I'm also not a huge Dark Elf lore person. I know Skaven, Greenskins, and Dwarves because those factions interact with Skaven a lot.
Right.
Raven Heralds with 360 fire and firewall moving. How bad do you want that, Hammond?
Again, I don't want Raven's Heralds to be good. Like I really don't want that playstyle to be what Dark Elves are known for. Like I hate flying skirmish, a lot. So,
how would you build a 0 DLC army, Stormrunner?
probably just exactly as I. Wait, are Sisters of Slaughter DLC?
I think they are. I think they are. They came out with the Crone, right?
I don't know, really.
I'll check. The Queen and the Crone, DLC, yada yada. Dark Elves got Sisters of Slaughter, Doomfire Warlocks, and the Charybdis. Oh, how are you going to live without the Charybdis, Ice?
Yeah, I don't know what we'd do without Charybdis. That would be awful.
Ooh, you also got your Supreme Sorceress Lords.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That would actually hurt a little bit.
I mean, you would still have Malekith, right?
And Morathi, yeah.
You would still have Morathi. I'm just sort of thinking back to the old meta of Dragon Malekith every single game. Oh man, that was fun. I miss it. Alright, looks like I'm going into this tournament game now. So
okay, thank you so much for your time today. You were an excellent
no
guest.
worries. It was fun.
And you, good luck, man. Go win it.
Yeah, thanks. I will try, but I'm really bad at this game.
Nah, you're fucking great. Alright. You were excellent. Heart. Icepower can have some spicy opinions occasionally, but one thing he is very good at is pleasing the people. I love how he just accepts like the bullshit Morathi questions and he just leans into it. It's really funny. All right, now I'm gonna power through some questions. I asked Ice all the questions I couldn't answer, or that I mean, obviously you wanted every question to be asked of Ice, but time is a thing. So I got all the ones out of the way that I couldn't answer. Finishing off the units, what Dark Elf ROR would you want to be able to take 2 or 3 of, Real Human Being? I mean, most likely the Sisters of Singing Doom. He said he liked them a lot. Terror-causing unit's great. Yeah, Terror's excellent. They have good stats. Rampage, it's just better Witch Elf. It's very cost-effective. Add 1 ROR to the roster. Doesn't have to be lore-friendly, Real Human Being. I mean, I don't know what Ice would want, but he seems pretty content overall with some of the roster. Probably a Dark Rider ROR that gave him like stock or something. That could be kind of interesting. Like call them Night Riders instead of Dark Riders or something. In what matchups are Dread Knights worth it over Cold One Riders and Dark Shards over Dark Riders with crossbow? Both. The answer to both of that is the Lizardmen. And I can show you why. Oopsies. Cold One Knights are okay. Why am I clicking so badly? Cold One Knights are okay. Here. Sure, take everything. I don't give a fuck. But Lizardmen, Stepdad, Saurus Old Blood, I don't give a shit. But I do need 2 Pterodons. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the Dread Knights. The Dread Knights hit harder. They have way better melee stats than the Cold One Knights, so they'll actually win the cav fight a lot harder. And then they seem to just be less easily killed by random chaff, so you can kill an almost infinite amount of skinks with them. So in general, they're just very good. And in the Lizardman matchup, you definitely want the Dark Shard infantry over the Repeater Crossbows, because the Repeater Crossbows are actually really bad at killing Pterodons compared to their Dark Shard cousins, because they have less models, less ammunition, and they're squishier. So while they do decent damage, you can see the Dark Shards do just about as much damage, and they're going to have more ammo, and they're cheaper, and that sort of thing. And Dark Shard Repeater Crossbows on the horses can sometimes like have a really hard time doing any damage. They'll like just miss a lot. So, yeah, definitely want the infantry ones here. Volume of Fire also is really good at taking out dinos. So there's the answer to that one. Is the Dark Elf Air Force a threat from Real Human Being? Morathi Double Manticore, Black Dragon, Ravens, Heralds, and some Harpies? Well, the problem with that, as you've listed it, is Morathi in the sky, Double Manticore in the sky, Ravens, Herald, and a Black Dragon. That's all your flying units already, so you can't have Harpies. But if you take some iterations of this with like, oh, 2 Harpies here, or cut 1, get another Manticore. Yeah, the Air Force is a big threat, huge threat. I mean, Morathi Double Manticore is one of the primary ways to play this faction. They have some of the best Air Force in the game, so yeah, it's a huge threat. And Real Human Being asked, do you like the implementation of Dark Sarge double shot crossbows? Reminder in tabletop, they're absolutely deadly with their 2 shots. I don't think so, because as Ice mentioned a lot in the interview, he wishes the Arc of Fire was lower. Okay. So that was the unit questions. Game 3. In the lore, Lohir Felhart sacked a city in Ind, which is India, called Gildresh, apparently normal for Dark Elves out east. Would you like a future Dark Elf DLC versus Ind upon the Sea Dragon Lady that was revealed to us, or an Eastern-flavored vampire faction, Hammond? I think that would be sick, and actually introduce naval battles into the game and stop teasing us with that. That would be really cool. I honestly thought we were going to get a real pirate-themed DLC at one point because of the Dark Elf lore and Vampire Coast. Do you think there's real pirate-themed units that would have tied good with Dark Elf playstyle, Hammond? Probably in campaign more than online. Like if you're fighting a naval battle in some way, they get a bunch of buffs, or get like aquatic, which only really matters in campaign. Would you rather play a frustrating and unfun game that you win, or a less serious game with fun builds that you lose? Real human being. I'm pretty sure Ice has said this before other places, so I'm confident enough to answer he would rather have fun and lose than play an unfun, serious game. But depends on the setting, obviously. If there's a big prize pool in line or something, of course he's going to want to win. Okay, memes. Memes that I can power through that aren't Icepower specific. What is love? Real human being. What are your opinions about Sporticus? Cyrus? Pretty sure neither Ice or I care too much about Sporticus. Jeremy, you've been told you're supposed to simp for Faye, Ariel, Direfin, Isabella, whatever's under Gelsmass, the River Troll Hag, Ikitclaw, the Frostworm, Thorgrim Grudgebearer, Morgar the Shadowgate, but not Kalita and not Alariel. Besides Morathi or Nelosi, who am I supposed to simp for in the Dark Elf roster? I mean, it's Morathi, but since you said besides, obviously Chill of Zontar. Who would you rather date, and what would you do on this date? Torax, Belagar, Ironhammer, Heinrich Himmler, Azheg the Slaughter, or Teclis? I would rather date Belagar Ironhammer because I want him to show me his Iron Hammer, if you know what I mean. Ha. Do you agree that Skaven should be forever referred to as Warpstone Beast Elves? Jeremy? No! No, and you're going in the Skaven version of the book, which is a coloring book. What do I think of the leaked Slaneshi Soul Grinder, Hammond? It looks cool. I like it. Good. It's good. It's good. I don't have thoughts about it at all. It doesn't haunt me at night. As Dark Elves, you know many ways of torture. What punishment would you give a rat who went against the vote of his people, Panzelmodel's stream, and pushed through his will, Cyrus? No punishment. I'm great. Should Morathi's Soul Stealer be named The Suck? Real human being. Yep. Why is the 8 or 9 Doombolt build not legal in tourneys? And the reference to that is Morathi. You take her item, and then you take a Sorceress of Dark. Well, the other item, my bad. Sorceress of Dark, give her a Doombolt. And then you take a bunch of Slanesha's Harvesters because they have bound Doombolts. And you just Doombolt things. But why that isn't bad? I mean, why it's not legal? Why it's bad? Because Doombolt's easily dodged. Spice or Salt, F&G. Spice for Ice, Salt for me. What is a good idea? When is it a good idea to deliberately use Alberic's Trident on a bunch of blobbed up peasants? Real human being. In a Bretonnian mirror, and if the peasants aren't yours. Is Morathi the most simped over Lord? Venge? No, I think that's Volkmar. Which catchphrase is better? Sunfang lusts for battle! Torox likes weenies. I'm not sure about that one. Or not one Druchi on Nagaraith! Hammond. Sunfang lusts for battle. Tyrion's Jed. Which member from your clan would you kill if it meant Dami Mommy was real and became your wife? Hammond. I think Icepower would set up some way to get Void Lulls to join XMT just so that he could be sacrificed. I think that's a fair statement. How do I get my girlfriend to dress like Dami Mommy? Hammond. That's between you and her. The War of Jenkins' Ear. Really, guys? You started a war over a frickin' ear? Also from Hammond? Don't know what you're talking about. Does Britannia still rule the waves? Hammond. Nope. Global warming does. Get fucked. Should you be allowed to use Mama Morathi during No Nut November? What would you do if she found out No Nut November was a thing? One, she would be very angry, but then she would probably turn it into a game trying to get as many people to lose it as possible. And should you be able to use her? Yes, I think. But if you get a 6 Soul Stealer on more than like 3 units, nope, because you're definitely losing No Nut November. Just parked, but I think we should call Icepower Peach Cream. He likes peaches and his ice cream, and it's a cute name. True. Almost done. How many months have 29 days? 0.25, Hammond. Because once every 4 years. Why aren't you in Human Boy servers? Do you hate him? He's not that ugly. He's just a hair. He has a hairless tail, but that's it. Hammond. I don't know why Icepower left my server, because he hates me. Can you say a bottle of water in a true Chad accent? Hammond. A bottle of water? If each legendary lord was stuck in an elevator with the regular troops, which would make the best small talk to pass the time? Tequila Solid set. Okay, I actually thought about this. I think it would be Rakarth. I feel like he would try to escape to Zarkan talking to him by just talking as much as possible to the troops. As like Zarkan in the background's being like, "You're a little bitch, Malice, and you'll always be a little bitch." He'll be like, "Hey, how's everybody else doing? Anybody else want to talk really fucking loudly right now? What's your favorite anything? Tell me right now. Well, I think the rest of the lords would just sit there with their arms crossed and be all, I'm so sad. I'm all upset. If Dark Elves are Warhammer's Americans, how come they don't all have precursor pistol fire? Also, why aren't they fat and have good music? F&G and Hammond. I don't have a good answer for that. So, what is the best Christmas movie to watch on Christmas, Hammond? Nightmare Before Christmas, nerd. Halloween's the best holiday. Skyrim belongs to the Nords! Or does it? Hammond G and F&G? Nope, Skyrim belongs to the Empire. Factually. Factually does. Uh-oh. Hammond's typing to me. War of Jenkins' Ear. The Brits went to war because a guy lost his ear. That's where you get the idea of War of the Beard. I didn't know that. Interesting. Is there any game better than Panzer Models? Real Human Being? Yes. Fury. I like Fury a lot. Which someday, if you people vote for it, I'll get to play it on stream and show you how good it is. But because all your votes are bad, I don't get to play good games. You dingus. That was terrible, Human Boy. Never say bottle of water again. Can't stop me. Would you rather have Sister of Slaughter GF or a Doomfire Warlock BF? Real Human Being. Probably Sister of Slaughter. If there was a piece of burnt toast between two gutter slates, would you eat it? Jeremy. Of course I would, every time. And please explain to Human Boy Yes Yes that the Vampire Count Mirror is the epitome of Total War gameplay. I always read epitome wrong. Jeremy as well. He doesn't have to tell me because I already know it is. It's the best, especially when your Red Duke gets fucking caught in zombies because Pegasus Mass is bullshit. Anyway, I'm not mad. I'm not still mad about that 20 years later. All right. I am leaving forever. Thank you all for being here. I know. It was brought up several times. I know the thumbnail was wrong. As soon as we started the interview, I was like, fuck. But I didn't have time to go into Photoshop and fix it. It's my bad. That was the last faction that we had to do. Dark Elves was the last one. So now there's a surprise. It's not that surprising if you've been around the channel. But there is a surprise final interview that I'll post about in the Discord. And we'll do that Tuesday and knock out the series, and I'll never have to do it again. Cool? Cool. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Have a good day.